at rsa.ie.
It's Bedroom and Mattress Week at Easy Living Furniture. Everything's reduced in store and online with hundreds of sale specials and free delivery on all bedroom and mattress orders over £499. Hurry, Bedroom and Mattress Week ends soon. Only at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, Easy Living has it all. Easy Living Furniture. Luxury furnishings, affordable luxury.
This July 18th and 19th, Gweedore comes alive with Salt Music Festival 2025. On Saturday 19th, experience The Stunning, the Sharon Shannon Big Band, Lee Braley, the Luke Combs Experience, and many more. For more information and tickets, go to saltfela.ie. Salt Music Festival 2025. 2 days, one place, great music.
The Naughty Alarm Clock. The Naughty Alarm Clock. Highland Radio.
Oh, the heats. Look at you now with the polo shirt on today. You look like a man that was on the golf course there for about a couple of hours before you came in. There's a bit of a little glow about you.
It's moisturiser.
And let me tell you, see the way you came in that through that door this morning. I just know, right? You mean business today.
Mean business, Gooch.
Right.
Yeah, I do. It's all good.
It's going to be some programme today. You're going to
It's
say
going to get hot. What do you think? Happy enough?
oh yeah, sure we need it. Do you know?
Any hedges to cut?
No, Lee was busy on the old hedge now.
He's a great help to you now, isn't he? He's a
Well,
good
sure.
age.
He's 12 years old and it's great. And I was chatting to a friend down in Kerry, Joe Devine. He's up here on holidays now, right? But he was saying his young buck got paid €15 for cutting the grass for a neighbour or something like that. And Lee had it on speakerphone. And he says he got €15 and I'm paying him £6. There's a big difference when you're 12 years old between
Do you
six.
know what he needs to do? Join a union.
You don't be saying that.
No, he does.
Do you know what I
That's
mean?
crazy.
Now, give him a
€6
tenner for
Gooch.
cutting the hedges. Do you know?
How long was he at it for?
A good wee while.
How long?
Long enough.
Like an hour?
Well, a wee bit less or a wee bit more. No, but you know, so it's.
Ooh, you're getting very shifty on
I'm
this one.
shifty old character.
I'm
Tight
feeling
old boy.
child labour
Oh
in the-
God,
in the
don't be
house
saying
here.
that. But he's happy. But he was happy until he heard about the 15. You know, but 15's a big jump for me. You know,
God, you are tight.
I am tight.
All right,
All
then.
right. See you at the weekend.
It is the 9 till noon show, a minute past 9. Let's get a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. It looks as though there could be the possibility of a Donegal president. Fianna Fáil grassroots are backing Pat the Cope Gallagher for the party's presidential nomination. The Chair Connell Tribune reports this morning lobbying efforts to see the Donegal deputy to have his name on the ticket have increased ahead of a final decision in September, although Deputy Gallagher has not commented. Meanwhile, Sean Kelly has ruled himself out of the race for presidency. The MEP says he won't be seeking a nomination to contest the election for Fine Gael. The move leaves Mairead McGuinness as the frontrunner to be the party's presidential candidate. Yesterday, images emerged of a bonfire in Moygashel in County Tyrone featuring a boat with models of migrants and a sign saying "Stop the Boats." It faced condemnation from various groups, including United Against Racism Donegal, who claimed the burning of effigies as a precursor to the burning of people. Jamie Bryson, editor of the Unionist Voice, says some people complaining about the bonfire are hypocrites.
Many of these people, not 2 weeks ago, were endorsing a band on the stage at Glastonbury singing death to the IDF in respect of Israeli people, and we're defending that as edgy art, as artistic. So I mean, we can't. We'll have to have the same standard across the board, or no standard at all.
The Taoiseach says no decision has been made on the location of a surgical hub in the northwest and that no deal was done during government formation talks. During an interview on Highland Radio, Minister of State Marian Harkin claimed the decision to locate the northwest surgical hub in Sligo formed part of her negotiations during the programme for government. Micheál Martin says Minister Harkin is strongly advocating for the facility to be developed in Sligo, but says he is aware of the representations being made by elective representatives in Donegal. In response to Donegal Deputy Padraig McLaughlin, Micheál Martin confirmed that a decision is yet to be reached.
There was a commitment in the programme for government for a surgical hub in the northwest, which the HSE is currently finalising a feasibility study. So we can't interfere in that feasibility study. Business case will be submitted to the Department of Health for consideration in due course. There has been discussion, as you say, vis-a-vis Sligo. People who've advanced and Minister Mary Harkin is clearly supportive and advocating strongly for Sligo.
And finally, police in Derry are warning parents that they should ensure their children's safety when they're outside. It follows reports of children playing on building sites in Strathfoyle. PSNA say while the dangers should be obvious, there is a potential for a fatality in the case of an incident. Looking now to weather, there'll be a warm and dry day today, quite cloudy at first, but spells of sunshine will gradually develop with highest temperatures of 21 to 23 degrees. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
Make real summer savings at SuperValue. Fire up the barbecue with 3 for €10 meats. HB ice creams like Twister and Magnum, 2 for €6. Selected Cadbury and Hunky Dories, 3 for €5. And scan your Real Rewards card or app and get selected Bold, Fairy and Ariel ranges, 2 for €16. Make real summer savings at SuperValue.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show here on Highland Radio. And we're all set for another 3 hours, keeping you informed, entertained and getting your views, hopefully, to 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. If you're listening outside the Republic, it's 00353 8660 25,000. If you want to give us a call, it's 074 91 25,000, and your emails are to comments@highlandradio.com. All right, and don't forget, if you want to watch the show, by the way, you can do so by going to our website and click the Watch Live button. Or we're on X, YouTube, and where else? Facebook, of course. Right, let's have a look at the papers. Tyrconnell Tribune, you heard it in the news there. Pat the Cope Gallagher for president. That sounds about right among Fianna Fáil supporters across the West-Northwest European constituency, which has an electorate of 1.8 million voters. In the past week, party grassroots have increased their lobbying campaign to have Deputy Gallagher selected for a Fianna Fáil nomination ahead of a final decision in September. Early last year, many were surprised, especially amongst the Fianna Fáil suits in Dublin, when the Cope declared his intention to launch a bid to regain his seat in the constituency. Last September, it seemed a done deal to have two runners, one each in the north and the south of the county. Charlie McConalogue was expected to be joined by Councillor Micheál Naughton from the Donegal electoral area, particularly following his poll-topping performance in the local elections. And then it goes on to, in great detail, as you can imagine, outline how those things unfold did. Now, I suppose, regardless of who it is, and Pat the Cope Gallagher would be, a good candidate, of course, would be interesting to have someone from this county in the race. Would the party nationally support someone from Donegal in that position, and others as well? I don't know. We shall see. But anyway, it's the speculation is fun, isn't it? A leading Donegal cancer care campaigner has expressed frustration over the last-minute rescheduling of a meeting between advocates and hospital representatives, which had been set for Monday. The meeting was called off on Friday last, with attendees informed that one of the consultants had other commitments and appointments. But Betty Holmes, chairperson of Donegal Action for Cancer Care, now questions the timing of that decision in light of stark figures on cancer treatment times at the hospital that have since emerged. At that time, I took it in good faith. But I'm now wondering, was the meeting cancelled because all of this was coming out, she said. I would never disagree with Betty Holmes. The only thing I would say is we did know this information. I believe it was Councillor Declan Meehan had been finding out the wait times for the beginning of cancer treatment. So we already knew that we were well behind in terms of what the national picture was. So that information wasn't brand spanking new. But anyway, who's to say? You never know with these things. It's a shame that the meeting was postponed. I wouldn't be as convinced about the timing, as I say, because I think much of that info was already out there. The Derry News this morning: 1 in 4 people in the Derry City and Strabane District Council area were prescribed antidepressants in the last year, according to shocking new statistics. The figure, the highest of 11 councils in the north, was revealed in a new report. The figure, the highest of all councils, I'll read past that. 25% of the population in Derry and Strabane were prescribed antidepressants in the year 24-25, compared to 24.3% last year, marking a 14.7% increase between 2019-20 and 24-25. 37,693 people in the Derry and Strabane Council area were prescribed antidepressants in the year. And now, I'm not questioning these figures at all, but it is 1 in 4 people on antidepressants in that area, or at least had them prescribed. Is there any possibility of doubling up of prescriptions or people being counted twice or something. It just seems really quite remarkable. 1 in 4 people on antidepressants in that council area. But anyway, as I say, I'm not disputing the figures. It just seems incredibly high. You might remember on Monday, just at the end of our preview of the DL debate, Brendan Devaney was talking to us. He was involved in a group that were hosting young Palestinian children who were coming to Ireland, and it was very early days, not early days as such, but in terms of what could be revealed publicly, that there were some activities planned for them in Donegal and what have you. And this was an opportunity for these young people from the West Bank, I suppose, to get out of the West Bank and to experience a nice break here. But unfortunately, the rug has been pulled from under that project for now. A group of young GEA players from Palestine have been refused visas to visit Ireland this month. GEA Palestine, which had planned to host 33 children and young people in Ireland, said it was deeply disappointed with the refusal decision and would immediately appeal. Our Irish visa applications for the GEA Palestinian summer tour has been refused by the Irish Immigration Services, the organisation said in a statement yesterday. A GEA Palestine spokeswoman said the visa section of the Department of Justice said in a refusal letter that insufficient documentation had been submitted with the application to the Irish Embassy in Tel Aviv, Israel, in early May. She questioned why it took until less than a week before they needed the visas to inform them of this. She said any outstanding documentation requested was provided and that any further documentation could have been provided. We're heartbroken at this. So it's not out of the question completely at this point. They are going to appeal it, but as we heard, even locally here in Donegal, plans were afoot to host and entertain these young children, but they've been refused their visas, and it does seem very last minute. I do understand that maybe there is some, child welfare concerns that every T must be crossed and every I dotted. I hope they're going through all of that. I think that was one of the reasons that were given. I mean, not that there's any question over the welfare of these children, but if the rules are there, the rules are there. If they need further documentation, if it's given to them, hopefully then the visas are awarded and those children can come over and get a break from, even though they're in the West Bank, it's still to a great extent an occupied territory. On to the Irish Independent, and there could be an all-out ban on sunbeds. They remain incredibly popular. But Ireland may ban commercial sunbeds following a report highlighting the cancer risks and how they are being used by, wait for this, children as young as 10. That's one of those things I read and I can't believe it, but maybe it must be true. Or they've done the studies, haven't they? But kids as young as 10 on sunbeds. A working group has been set up to look at the issue, Junior Health Minister Jennifer Murnane O'Connor said. A report from the Institute of Public Health has recommended the ban to reduce the risk of skin cancer in Ireland, which has one of the highest rates in the world. This report reinforces what we already know. There is no safe level of sunbed use. That was Miss Murnane O'Connor. The report shows 5.2% of children aged 10 to 17 reported having used a sunbed, and 4.4% of children in the same age group reported using one in the last 12 months. Sunbed use is similar among boys and girls and among teen and teenaged children. So are they using them in the house? I mean, I can't imagine they're using them on any commercial premises. The report pointed out that skin cancer is the most common form of the disease in Ireland, with more than 11,000 cases of melanoma and non-melanoma skin cancer diagnosed annually. Using a sunbed carries risks. The highest risk is associated with use in childhood and adolescence, as well as frequent use. So 5% of kids 10 to 17 have been on a sunbed. Almost 5% have been on a sunbed in the last year. Wowzers, there you go. 086 60 25,000. Any view on that? Experts have called for the Criminal Assets Bureau to be used against people who steal money from their elderly relatives. This is the lead in the Irish Daily Mail. A TD told the Oireachtas Health Committee that he went to the Gardaí after he learned that a man with dementia had over €100,000 taken from his bank account in 12 months. And this would fall under the regular conversations that we have about elder abuse. It's not necessarily It's not necessarily physical abuse or even emotional abuse. Financial abuse is a big issue. However, the Gardaí told him, wait till you hear this, the Gardaí told him that he couldn't act against the man's relative because dementia sufferers cannot give evidence in court. Mervyn Taylor, a board member with the Safeguarding Ireland charity, told the committee that such crimes should be tackled by the Criminal Assets Bureau. So here's a gentleman, an elderly gentleman with dementia. He's got a relative who's cleaned 100 grand out of his bank and he knows it. And he can't give evidence because he has dementia. So it can't be really pursued. There's no witnesses as such. Or anyway, CAB is one mechanism they say that can be looked at because the person is in receipt of the money. They have to explain how they got it, Mr. Taylor said. I think that's important. I think that's what we need to do and be seen to be doing so that people aren't exploited like this. I would say that happens a lot. I would say it happens an awful lot and we don't hear about it. If you have any views on that or any experience of that, let us know. 086 60 25,000. The Farmers' Journal is out today and the farm sector is reeling from a shock move to radically change tack on Ireland's approach to applying for a new nitrates derogation by adding further conditions to the process. 6 months out from the current derogation expiring, Minister for Agriculture Martin Hayden has said that Brussels demanded that Ireland must prove that the derogation does not negatively impact protected habitats. And every time we talk about the nitrates directive, I go back to the last there was a debate in leading up to the general election, and there was a high-ranking member of government, I can't remember his name, and it was in the conversation, and just quite flippantly he says, well, the derogation is gone now effectively, or it will be gone. And sometimes you feel like that was the insight, is that really the reality, that the derogation is gone and we're just going to spend a while talking about it until the reality sets in? I don't understand, and maybe it's cultural, and please forgive me in case I'm offending people's culture. I don't intend to do so, and I know ignorance is not a defence, but I really don't understand the lighting of pallets as part of I mean, I presume it is cultural, right? Is it that must be the case, and maybe I should do more research, but I don't really get the point of it. But anyway, that's fine. It's probably significant, and I respect that. But this crack of putting stuff on the pallets as well. You might have seen in Tyrone, a boat is up on top of one of the Stop the Boats. I'm not sure how many people coming off boats into Britain are going into Northern Ireland. But anyway, Stop the Boats. They've put a punt on top of this fire. And they've put in mannequins that represents people in this boat. A lot of this, I'm not sure who funds this, but this is probably money that could be going to support the Orange Order parades in. I'm not saying this is the Orange Order doing this, but it could go and support the parade in Rosnala. That boat and all those mannequins, not cheap. But anyway, so even if you are against immigrants coming in on boats, and they also say veterans before refugees, but even if that is the case, I mean, how could you stand around and light up the pallets and then also sort of cheer on as a boat with, the representation of human beings in it is burnt? I mean, is that what you cheer at it? I don't understand that. And I seem to do this every year where I wish I had a better understanding of it. And I say some of it obviously must be cultural, but anyway, effigies of migrants in a boat have been placed on a loyalist bonfire, prompting condemnation and calls for it to be removed. The boat containing more than a dozen life-sized mannequins wearing life jackets has been erected on top of the bonfire in Moygashel on the outskirts of Dungannon. Below it are several placards, one stating "Stop the Boats" and another "Veterans Before Refugees." Sinn Féin Assembly member Fulfa Manor and South Tyrone Colm Gildennew branded the display vile and deplorable. And you're going to get that, right? So, it's a loyalist bonfire. Someone from Sinn Féin is going to condemn it. Others will condemn it too. But I'd be very interested in to know generally in the wider loyalist stroke Protestant community what the view is. If people are against that, should those calls come from within rather than every single year something is done by one side, let me put it like that, and then the other side condemns it, and we kind of move no further forward. Last two papers here. We'll start with the Star. GEA anti-sexual violence messages will be heard at All Ireland semi-finals this weekend in a bid to tackle issues like domestic abuse. So if you're going to the game, if you got a ticket, this is what you're going to be hearing. The hard-hitting campaign stresses how important such as intimate image abuse or revenge pornography are outlawed as coercive control and sexual exploitation. It seeks to promote positive male role models who will help to highlight opposition to all gender-based violence. So you'll be exposed to that down at that game this weekend. And finally, a former employee at Dublin's Trinity College has appeared in court over an alleged €570,000 fraud at the top university. Helen Richardson, 46, faces 102 charges of theft and money laundering in 2020 and 21. She was Trinity's undergraduate student support officer at the time of the alleged offending. 570 grand. Well, okay, let us go to our break, and then we'll go to our first guest. Stay right where you are.
The 9 till Noon Show, proudly sponsored by the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton, now in full swing. This weekend, catch headline acts: Honour, Queen Tribute, Dublin Paddies and ABBA Sensations. For tickets, search Lennon Festival on Eventbrite.
This summer, the Big Top is calling. Summer Sessions Letterkenny presents The Human League, live on August the 21st for one unmissable night. Plus special guests including Nick Kershaw and The Undertones. And it's your last chance to grab the final tickets at summer-sessions.ie. Also rocking the Summer Sessions stage, the Saw Doctors with special guests. That's The Human League, August the 21st in Letterkenny, under the Big Top. Follow Summer Sessions Letterkenny on social media for all the latest updates.
If your go-to trade brand is DeWalt, get to Screwfix. Get the job done with flash deals and power tools, from combi twin kits to SDS drills until 13th of July. And get kitted out with exclusive to Screwfix DeWalt workwear. Power up with DeWalt at Screwfix. Shop now at screwfix.ie or in over 35 stores.
My Future Fund, the new auto-enrollment retirement savings scheme, is coming. You pay in, your employer pays in, and the state tops it up. It all adds up to a great way to save for your future and something to look forward to. For more information, visit gov.ie/auto-enrollment. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland. Hegarty's Ford Letterkenny are getting behind Donegal for this weekend's big game. Test drive any 252 new Ford car or commercial at Hegarty's Ford, Carnamugga, Letterkenny. #1 commercial dealer in the Northwest.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
9:21. So as you would know, we've covered extensively on this programme calls for a surgical hub to be provided at Letterkenny University Hospital. Just a quick recap. We've heard from consultants they say that this is incredibly important to the future survival and retention of services at Letterkenny University Hospital. They've been actively campaigning for it. Then it emerged that there was one business plan for a surgical hub that was in Sligo, and then it subsequently emerged from independent Marion Harkin that this formed part of the Larry Independence negotiations with government. She said that it was already in the HSC's plan, and she just wanted to make sure that that commitment was followed through on. Then we had Michael Healy-Rae on, and he said very clearly that she's been battling hard for this, and this was a red line issue, and she managed to get it into that deal, and we'll make no bones about that. I have those clips. I might play them a little later on if we need any further context, because it's on the record, right? I'm not pulling this information out of my backside. Now, this issue was raised again in the Dáil yesterday by Donegal Deputy Pádraig McLaughlin, who was seeking some clarity from the Taoiseach in relation to this. And the Chief Whip, Sinn Féin's Chief Whip, Pádraig McLaughlin, is with me on the show now. And good morning, and thanks so much for your time, Pádraig. I do appreciate it. Right, so you sought some clarity from the Taoiseach. What did you say? What did he say? And what did you take from it?
Well, Pierce Doherty was taking the Finance Committee yesterday, and he'd asked me to come in. There was an opportunity here with the Taoiseach, tied down in the committee, to put this question to him and get clarity on it. So I did that, and Taoiseach responded and said that there is no deal, and said that the process is ongoing. My view on it is that the surgical hub, as you know, the original plan was just for 6. And they were going to be in the Model 4 hospitals, so they were going to have 2 in Dublin, the usual mentality, 2 in Dublin, 1 in Waterford, Cork, Limerick and Galway. And everybody above that infamous Galway to Dublin line, we're all second-class citizens when it comes to health services, was going to get nothing. That was the usual. There was a pushback then in the region, and we've been at this for quite a while. And the principle of a surgical hub for the Northwest, that was secured. But there was a mentality, I think, within senior HSE management in the region, maybe Marion Harkin spotted this, that sure, where else would it go with Sligo? You know, Donegal, there really is a mentality that we are just a backwater. We're just a sort of a Iceland, you know, either a long distance away, and sure, why would they need the same service as everybody else? That's the mentality. I don't care what they say. And I think this is the way it was drifting until there was an uprising in Donegal, and particularly led by the consultants. This has been vital. The people who work at the coalface in our hospital, and also the GPs who deal with our patients all across Donegal. They know better than anybody what's going on in our hospital. And it's unprecedented, 171 that stood up. And I think that's just changed the whole game. And I think whatever plans Micheál Martin, Marion Harkin and others might have had are in real trouble now. And we just need to keep the pressure on.
When the Taoiseach said that, you know, no deal had been done in relation to this, that had to be the answer, didn't it? Because apparently there were no goodies for independence. So that could be the only answer. I'm not saying for a second that the Taoiseach was misleading the Dáil, but do you take him at his word in relation to this, that this is still an open process? I thought it quite interesting when he talked of there can be no political interference in the process, yet everything up until now, it would seem, has been political interference in the process to ensure it was delivered, and to ensure it was delivered for Sligo.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, Greg. I think you're on the money here. And that was part of the reason, you know, Pearse Doherty had spotted the opportunity, have him locked down in the Finance Committee, and to get in there and to put the question directly to him. And I think he probably had no choice other than to say there is no deal in relation to this. Marion Harkin did let the cat out of the bag, in my opinion. I think there was a mentality right into late last year and probably into early this year that sure, where else would you put a surgical hub? We'll add another one on, sure, we'll put it in Sligo. And, you know, this has been an attitude for a long time. I mean, we have, and we haven't been imagining this, we have been neglected in every objective analysis of our hospital, the size of the hospital, the many patients go to the hospital, the population that we deal with can see that we are second-class citizens. So listen, I actually am very positive at the moment. I've never seen such a successful effort by all our surgeons and doctors united. Even the government TDs are on board in Donegal, and that hasn't happened before. We've got them all on board. And I just think now we need to stay united, focused. And you're spot on. I think the only answer you could give yesterday was there is no deal. Because if they go ahead with Sligo now, we'll know it isn't down to objective facts. It isn't down to what's right. It's about a dodgy deal. And I don't think they can go ahead with that now.
And of course, they're saying that isn't the case. But ironically, the campaign for a surgical hub for Letterkenny was potentially strengthened by the intervention of Ministers Harkin and Healy-Rae, because it pulled the curtain back to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to quite a few people in the days, that day that Marion Harkin said it, and in the days that followed. And our view was that she let the cat out of the bag. Sorry to repeat that phrase again. That they had, maybe, I don't know what reason Marion Harkin felt the need to do it. Maybe vanity, I don't know. But they obviously felt that they had a deal. They felt sure, of course, it was going to be Sligo. They never seen coming the fight back in Donegal. And I think they're under real pressure now. And the problem for Micheál Martin was, if he had said yesterday to me, yes, I have a deal done in Sligo, so that's politically disastrous. So I think our campaign has put them under serious pressure. Again, we just need to keep it going in Donegal. I do believe, and if we win this battle, we crack the whole edifice of what's been going on. We break through the mentality of neglect, which is that Donegal is out of the limb, out of the distance. So we just need to keep it going now.
Just in the last minute, sometimes we hear things, you know, when an issue's being discussed often and people hear surgical hub, and sometimes you're listening but you're not hearing. It's very clear, this is not just about Donegal being treated one way or other. It's imperative for the future of that hospital as it is, and its future development, that there is a surgical hub, an ambulatory centre which the HSE continues to push and push and push. It's many, many years down the line. It's been promised before. It's very critical, isn't it, that a surgical hub for anyone who has been, will be, or is in that hospital, that it is provided for the future very vital services there.
Indeed, and I know just ask listeners in Donegal, look at what happened at Enniskillen, which is a fabulous hospital, South and West it's called, and they lost their emergency department and now they've lost their surgical services. I mean, that's disastrous. And what I'm told by our experts in Letterkenny, our consultants and our surgeons is, if we don't turn around our surgical services soon, we're going the same direction as Enniskillen. That's unthinkable, absolutely unthinkable. So that's how serious this is. And I feel at last, what happens with campaigns is you chip away for years, chip away. Greg, you've been raising this issue for years, but then you get momentum and then you get everybody on the same page. So in Donegal now, I think we have them under serious pressure. I think we have them in real difficulties. I think that's why Marion Harkin felt the need to say, I have a deal and so on. But we just need to keep at it. We have to win this battle. And then when we win this battle for the hub, we keep going to make sure all of our services. All we're asking for in Donegal, Greg, and you've said this so many times, we're just asking for the same services as everybody else. No special treatment, just the same as every other person in this country. Is that too much to ask? I really don't think so.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a good day. That is Sinn Féin Party Whip Deputy Padraig McLaughlin. And as I say, obviously this whole story, we've been tracking it very closely, as you can imagine, on this programme, because it's so important to us. I just want to sort of maybe take an opportunity just to remind, clarify one thing just to remind us as to how we got here in terms of the potential. Is there a deal there? Isn't there a deal there? I know there's a slight. I just want to clarify one thing. Marion Harkin, with you, if that's okay. When you say that you got a commitment in the programme for government for a surgical hub for the Northwest, was the commitment you received specific to Sligo, or was it for the Northwest generally?
At that point, if you go to the HSE business plan, it was described as a surgical hub for Sligo. It was already there in the HSE business plan. And that is what I pushed for, because I believe it will serve most of the Northwest.
Minister Harkin, I want your sort of a reflection from you, but I just want to clarify something, and I'm sorry to keep, maybe I've already clarified this, but the location of a surgical hub in Sligo, as recommended by the HSE and as predates, your agreement with them, I recognise all that. Yeah. That is actually forms part of an agreement for your government support. I phrased it maybe a bit antagonistically earlier, and I didn't intend to do so really. I couldn't phrase it as I wanted to. But it is a fundamental plank of your support for government. Is that fair to say?
That it was already there in the HSE capital plan.
Understood, yeah.
And I wanted to make sure it remained there.
I wanted to make sure it stayed there in response to the fact that this is a fundamental plank of your support for government. And then, just in case there was any ambiguity there, we had Michael Healy-Rae, Minister Michael Healy-Rae on the programme, and he made things incredibly clear. This is 2 minutes, but let's listen to it just to put it back on the record.
Yes, I am. And what I can tell you about Minister Harkin's work and her involvement in this issue, she has been what I would call ferocious in her work ethic in highlighting this issue and trying to do what is right. And she has been an awful strong advocate about this issue. And I know, because I hear it going on, I'm not directly involved in that myself, but she is, and she's doing what I would call ferocious work and is using her position in supporting government at trying to highlight this and trying to get it prioritised. And I commend her for her work on that, because she is very strong on it, and she is working diligently in trying to help her constituents with regard to this and many, many other issues.
Could some people, if they want to, and I know people don't like the word, frame it as a goodie? In other words, that this was, this was one of those potential red lines for the region to secure that support for the government? I don't like that word, but it's the word that's being
Well, you can call it what you like, but what I call it is people doing their work. And Minister Harkin, when she would have been approaching her issues as that she wanted highlighted, and what I would call red line issues. Everybody has those, and people talk about parochial issues and that, oh, it should be about the bigger picture. But at the end of the day, all politics is local, and if you don't take care of people in your locality, and if you're not an advocate for them, they're the people who go out and support you at the end of the day. And people have a choice when they go out to vote. They see who's working, they see who's delivering, and in the case of Marion Harkin, she is what I would call good value for money, because I actually sit alongside her every day, and her work ethic is second to none. And she, of course, would have been fighting and advocating for the priorities that were important to her, as we all would have been as individuals. And there is nothing wrong with that. And you can call them special concerns, you can call them what you like, but at the end of the day, all we're all trying to do is what's the best for people.
So that's Michael Healy saying quite clearly that all of the independents had their issues in their meetings with the government to secure the support, and it was you can call it a red line, you can call it a goodie, you can call it whatever you like. So just to be absolutely certain, I just wanted to make sure that we stuck that back on the record so people understand, if you've missed any of this conversation, the full context of the exchange between Deputy Pádraig McLaughlin and Micheál Martin in the Dáil yesterday.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Now until July 14th. This weekend, enjoy Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumbling Paddies and ABBA Sensations. Plus family fun and entertainment for everyone. For full details, see Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
Bedtime bargains at Cooney's Home Interiors. Huge savings on in-stock beds. 4'6" fabric bed frame from €299. 5-foot bed frame with mattress only €599. Mattresses from €129. Set of pillows €10. Bed sheets from only €5. These are just some of the many offers in store at Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny. Offers only while stocks last.
You know that guy I've been seeing? Yeah? Turns out my sister's been seeing him too. Oh, really? And I heard he's been seeing Siobhan at number 56. And Declan. Your brother? Yep.
Specsavers opticians and audiologists own their stores, so your care is their business, which can make them rather popular.
I've got something to tell you. I've got half an hour with him this afternoon.
Specsavers. Your care is our business.
Hybrid, plug-in hybrid, electric. Don't get confused. Get excited with Toyota, Ireland's best-selling car brand. At Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny and Mount Charles, you get the power of choice. There's our wide range to see, including the Toyota CHR and the all-electric BZ4X, with power-up boosters of up to €3,000 and flexible payment options available. So order now at Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world. T's and C's apply. Best-selling claim based on latest figures.
Minister to seek nitrates extension. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, shock and surprise in farming as goalpost shift and derogation renewal. Find out what changes are in store for your farm. Factories scrambled for Finnish cattle. New plan to tax tractor tyres. Wheeling prices continue to rocket at Marts as lamb prices are under pressure. Has the ESB the right to put power lines on your land? Plus, your chance to win a €30,000 Husqvarna mower. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
The big summer sale at Green Shoes is now on, with up to 50% off across all your favourite footwear brands, in store and online at greenshoes.com. Green Shoes, Market Square, Letterkenny Shopping Centre and in Fulcara. Shop LK and one for all vouchers accepted.
Now, I'm joined on the programme by Anne-Marie E. Icky, who's principal of Scull Angel Hivadee, and it is a school in the west of our county that is on the search for new students. Anne-Marie, good morning to you. Maggie Way.
Maggie Way, Greg.
Right, now you're at a critical point here, are you? Talk to me actually firstly about where your school's at and a little bit about the school.
Okay, so our school is in Keju in Buttonport, and we are an Irish medium school. We got recognition as a Scoil Gaeltachta there last February. having converted back to Irish from being English from the 1970s. We were initially Irish medium when the school opened in 1903, but we had to change back to English in the 1970s due to different needs and things in the school and lack of resources and things like that. So we're delighted that we are the only Irish medium school in the area.
But to maintain certainly staffing levels, I'm not sure, maybe you can talk to the future of the school as it stands as a whole. You need additional students. You have 7 students at the moment and you need more to retain both teachers.
Yeah, so we have 7 students at the minute, but we've 2 incoming, so we have 9 for September 2025, but we need another 2 students to retain the second teacher. We will have the second teacher this year, but your numbers are based on your enrollments by the end of September in the coming school year. So we are offering now this bursary to try and up our enrollments and keep our second teacher.
Why is the small number of students? Is it about the amount of younger people in the population locally? Is it that parents are opting for other schools in the vicinity and you know you're having to fight your corner? Pardon my ignorance on that, Anne-Marie. Just curious as to what do you think the issue is?
I think it's kind of a mixture of both, really. There isn't many young families in the area, unfortunately. You know, it is sparsely populated. Also, we have the challenge there are other schools in the area as well. And as I said, we're the only Irish medium school in the area, and we're new to being an Irish medium school again. So we're just kind of trying to make people aware of all the wonderful advantages that go hand in hand with Irish medium schools and with bilingual children.
I mean, we'll talk about the bursary in a moment, but also too, one has to consider that the almost individual attention potential students might get from the school, from the teachers, given the amount of pupils versus teachers.
Well, that's it. It's, you know, you can't say it's 1-to-1, but I mean, a class size of, 5 or 6 children is, the child's going to get a lot more from their education as opposed to a class size of 30. So that's a huge advantage in itself.
And in terms of children transferring to the school, obviously, you may be talking about new enrolments, junior infants, etc. But I mean, is there an opportunity for, if parents are listening to this and think, right, this could really work for me and my family, to transfer to that school if it suits them?
Yeah, of course, 100%. We had a girl who came to us last year to complete her final year in primary school. She came from an English medium school and she did amazingly. She did excellent. It's because she was motivated herself to learn through Irish and her parents wanted it for her because they recognised all the great advantages that went with it as well.
So what's this €2,000 bursary then, and how does it work?
So the bursary is being offered as a travel bursary. We are aiming to try and entice children from outside our catchment area and realise that maybe some financial burdens may come with that as well. So we are offering this bursary to try and alleviate that financial burden for parents, and so that if they want to choose Irish medium children or Irish medium education, for their children, that would help them do that. It would be an easier decision for them.
And that's in the first term, or is it ongoing?
It would be 1,000 payment in the first year and another 1,000 in the second. We obviously have to protect ourselves in case somebody would sign up and run off with the money. So it would be paid over 2 school years.
Yeah, for junior and senior infants.
Yes, but we're also offering a partial bursary to children if they wish to enroll in other classes as well. Obviously, if we got junior infant pupils, we would have to prioritise those for the bursary. But we're also willing to offer partial until those spaces are filled.
And do you have to fund this yourself, Anne-Marie, or?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's not funded by the state. We fundraise in our school quite often, so we are using our fundraising towards this bursary. And actually yesterday we were actually notified of a unanimous donation that's going to be made to fund a fourth child if we get one. So somebody's willing to fund that €2,000, which is amazing.
And how do you think the school survives long term, Anne Marie? I mean, I can understand that. Is this just to get the numbers up for to get the kids in, to keep the teachers, or is there a sense that if more people come, maybe it might be more people might go, right, okay, something good's happening there, let's send my kids. So, like, what is the long term plan? Because this would get you over the line and retain the teachers, but what about the future of the school?
Yeah, it's, as I said, we're in an area that's not a Gaeltacht area, even though we are a Gaeltacht school. So it's just trying to make people aware of how good Irish medium education is for their children. You know, if you think about the Official Languages Act, it was amended in 2021, and it states that by 2030 that 20% of public sector workers have to have Irish. So newly recruited public sector workers have to have Irish. So that's 20%. So our kids would have a huge opportunity for employment in the area, or even if they left the area and if they wanted to come back, that they're in that 20% and would be offered a job quicker than other children. So that's a huge opportunity as well.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what something else which not every school has, but it's fantastic for working parents or parent, is a morning club, which kicks off at 8:20, and after schools as well, which runs until 6 p.m. I mean, there are parents in different parts of the county that will bite their right hand off for that, to have that service.
It is an amazing service for the working families, that they can.
Any houses for sale in Burton Board?
That's a huge advantage for the working parents, that they have that peace of mind that they can drop off from as early in the morning as 8:20 and pick up at 6 if need be.
Yeah, stay there. Councillor Micheál Colm Gillen-Asperg is chair of the Irish Language Committee on Donegal County Council, and Micheál Colm, it's fantastic what the school is doing, what Anne Marie's doing to sort of try and secure the future of the school with the current staffing levels, but it's potentially to a terrible indictment that the schools have to work so hard and do so much off their own bat to continue the great work that they're doing.
Yeah, look, first thing I'd like to just kind of commend Anne Marie, Patrick, and everybody involved in this. They've been working at this for a very long time, and it's a sad state that where we're in, where the school community is, I suppose, forced into a position that would have to offer this money, and fair play to them for their initiative, where I believe that the state needs to be doing far more. But look, as Anne-Marie outlined there very, very clearly, is that education through the medium of Gaelic does offer a massive opportunity for the children in adult life, within their working life, most definitely. And we all know that any child that is reared or educated through two languages, that it also helps them as well in later life in terms of development. And it just saddens me to see rural schools, and I would know this school very, very well because it's only over the road from me, and I've been interacting with them for many, many years now, and it just saddens me to see that this is where we're at. And
what
there
could
are
be
other
done,
schools.
Micheál, what could be done to support a school like this better? Would it be the council? Would it be the Department of Education, the state? What do you think isn't being done that could be done for this school? Because obviously you can only sort of pull students from your catchment too, and I think that this is why the travel bursary is there, because the school recognises they have to go outside the area. So there's a great school, great teachers, but the population of a certain or the correct age simply isn't there to maintain the numbers. That's why a travel bursary is required. So is there anything the council or the state or the Department of Education could be or should be doing?
Well, I think the state can always do more, and I think looking back historically in terms of the state's attitude towards the Irish language and Gaelic, and I think now lately there has been a massive big revival in relation to the language right around the whole 32 counties, but unfortunately in the Gaeltacht we're in a massive decline, and it's quite a complex conversation, and I think it's one that has to be openly had. But I do think that there is a population around the school in Ericaju, and I think what it is that the confidence maybe, and I'm not being disrespectful to anybody here, is the confidence maybe of some parents who mightn't feel that confident themselves in their own ability in language, and they want to see their children progress, and they want to be able to help them with their homework and any school work. But I do believe that there is a certain population there that can help fill this as well, and I think that what the support that the school community is given, as you outlined clearly there in terms of the club breakfast and then the after school club, and then the support from the Irish language officer within the area through the Snageltata. But we now ourselves within Corleconda locally in the Glenties MD, we will be inviting the delegation in, and we've been discussing this. I had raised that now, not the last meeting, but I think the one before that they would be coming in to do a presentation and seeing how we as public representatives can support. But rural schools are in decline. We see what's unfortunately happening in Dury, that come September that we're back to, that they're in single digits, and that has a massive impact. And I think that long term, that it's unfortunate that the government didn't see the value of Angaeltat and Irish language and hadn't been so hostile to it over many generations, and this is where we're at now. But I'd like to look, Anne-Marie and Paddock and all them know me, and I've been to their meetings and will continue to support the school community, but there is a broader discussion that has to be had, and I would clearly state or say to this to the wider community not to be frightened of your child being educated through the medium of Gaelic, and that hopefully that there can be supports put in there for parents or carers that live locally, that if they feel they need it.
All right, thanks very much indeed, Councillor Micheál Colm. Interesting point about maybe parents being a bit cautious. Sometimes we have to trust the children too, don't we, Anne-Marie? You know, I mean, they're learning, potentially learning another language whilst they're at school. It is compared to what you might see in Dublin city centre or Letterkenny, for that matter, it's an intimate teaching environment, which I think, if it were me, I think that sort of outweighs, you know, any potential concerns you might have about helping with homework and everything down the line.
Yeah, that's it. You know, from speaking to parents, you know, they seem to think that homework's gonna be an issue for them. That's totally not the case. I mean, all our families in the school are very comfortable with it. There's never any issues, I can say hand on heart, with homework. We have a couple of Ukrainian children that have come to us with no English or Irish, who have managed amazingly and are, you know, running about chatting away in Irish now with absolutely no problems. If the support's there, if it's taught properly in school, and it's going home with the children, they don't need much.
Yeah, and we are talking primary level as well. A caller says, I wish they'd put on a bus from Dunloe to Keju for those wishing to have their children educated in Irish. Siobhan also says, lovely to see Anne-Marie, a wonderful teacher who taught my youngest lad. Okay, there you go.
Oh, lovely.
How do people find out more information on this bursary? Because, I mean, what it is effectively saying, you know, if you do... Again, though, you see, when you with the morning club, the breakfast club, and then the aftercare as well, that's a big attraction, of course. But I mean, obviously, everyone has to be factored in financially. So, if you need some assistance with the travel, how do people get more information?
Well, if there is, I'm not sure if we have a Facebook page that you can see. There's an advertisement.
We'll link it on our Facebook page. How's that?
Yeah, if you can do that, yeah, or they can. My mobile number's there as well. They can give me a ring if they want some more information on it.
Okay, great stuff. Hopefully, this conversation sparks something. We do appreciate your time, Anne-Marie. Take care of yourself.
Gur míle maige, Greg.
Thank you. Anne-Marie E. Icky there, who's principal of Skull on Angel Hivedy. And if you want more information, check out our Facebook pages. We'll have that sorted for you very, very soon to link off. It's a good initiative. It's unfortunate, but it seems very attractive. And I mean, you can do your education now right through third level in Irish, and I've spoken to many. But it seems to be mostly women that I've engaged with rather than fellas that have done it. But, you know, it seems to be fantastic for their educational development.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Join us Monday, July 14th for the festival's grand finale, featuring ABBA Sensations Live, followed by a spectacular fireworks display. For the latest festival updates, follow Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
I had problems with my knees for about 7-8 years. I think I'd give Kingsbridge 5 stars just because of the support and help that they gave me before and after the surgery. I was a public patient and the HSE reimbursed the cost.
Republic of Ireland residents can get rapid access to cross-border surgeries at Kingsbridge private hospitals in Belfast and Derry, with medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. Find out more at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/cross-border. Kingsbridge, your fast track to 5-star care. Terms and conditions apply.
It's Bedroom and Mattress Week at Easy Living Furniture. Everything's reduced in store and online with hundreds of sale specials and free delivery on all bedroom and mattress orders over £499. Hurry, Bedroom and Mattress Week ends soon. Only at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, Easy Living has it all. Easy Living Furniture. Luxury furnishings, affordable luxury.
Join me, Marty Friel, this and every Friday night from 8 for Rocket Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny. Try their new interactive dartboards with lots of games that all the family can play. See arena7.ie.
Ensure the safety of your team with SafeTech. We have part-funded courses in first aid, people moving and handling, confined spaces, food hygiene, quad bikes, fire warden, IPAF MUPS, electrofusion, welding and machinery cards for Ireland and UK sites. Also delivering online courses like utilities, water hygiene and construction supervisors. SafeTech can deliver group training at your business premises. To find out more, contact safetech.ie today.
Fabric World's hot summer sale now on, with fabulous discounts on curtain and upholstery fabric and half-price pots in our garden department. Summer sandals and fashion from £10. Crafty deals, 3 fabric pieces for £12. And there's always great Euro rates at Fabric World, Maydown, Derry.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find amazing savings across our departments with up to 50% off your favourite brands in our summer sale. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Any mist and fog clear? There's no frogs. Any mist and fog clearing now to leave a warm and dry day. Quite cloudy at first, but spells of sunshine will gradually develop. Highest temperatures today 21 to 23 degrees. Those breezes light and southwesterly. Right now, Pádraig McLaughlin is such a pragmatic person, says a listener, who talks a lot of sense. He's so passionate about his county and our health services here in Letterkenny. Keep up the good fight, Pádraig, says a listener. Another, what reps did our TDs put in to persuade a hub for Letterkenny? Why are we always on the back foot? Well, I suppose Marion Harkin was in a position whereby the government needed support. She was part of a group of independents. That's probably how that worked. So much for our nation's great solidarity with Palestine, says a listener. Meanwhile, members of the genocidal Israeli forces can swan in and out of Dublin without visas at all. The disparity between the two states could not be more hypocritical. Shame on our government, says a listener. Another, the fact we allow these sectarian hate marches and burnings to continue on this island is a joke. Imagine Muslims doing this. People would lose their minds. I think any group doing it is probably have the same reaction. But I take your point about if it were a different group of individuals. Okay, we have so much more coming up on the programme over the next couple of hours. We have to take a break now, though, for the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show, proudly sponsored by the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Now in full swing. This weekend, catch headline acts: Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumblin' Paddies and ABBA Sensations. For tickets, search Lennon Festival on Eventbrite.
Meet James. He made big savings on his car insurance when he made the switch to Outsurance.
Hi, I'm James. It's true. I saved €301 when I made the switch. And with the Out bonus, I know I'll get 10% of my premiums back in cash after 3 years claims free.
Sounds great. For a competitive car insurance quote like James's, call 1-800-600-400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison, the customer received a gratuity for their participation. Out bonus calculated less taxes and levies. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Car and home insurance is underwritten by Outsurance DAC. Outsurance DAC, trading as Outsurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The Hillary's summer sale just got even better. Get up to 50% off hundreds of made-to-measure blinds, curtains and shutters. Plus an extra 10% off everything until the 28th of July. That's 10% off all blinds, 10% off all curtains and 10% off all shutters. With Hillary's, measuring and fitting is always included and your local advisor is with you every step of the way. Book your free in-home appointment today or visit hillarys.ie. But hurry, this extra 10% off everything ends 28th of July. Conditions apply.
I was in pain with my right hip going to different countries on a flight. With the pain I was in wasn't really an option. I googled hospitals in Belfast and Kingsbridge came up.
Republic of Ireland residents can get rapid access to cross-border surgeries at Kingsbridge private hospitals in Belfast and Derry, with medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. Find out more at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/cross-border. Kingsbridge, your fast track to 5-star care. Terms and conditions apply.
Sometimes it's just bad luck, but sometimes it's negligence. From minor bumps to life-changing injury, every accident has a story. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll assess the situation, advise on solutions, and lead the way if any litigation is to follow. From motor accidents and workplace accidents to slips, trips and falls, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. Let's get you started on the road to recovery. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help? In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Heading to Croke Park this weekend? Make a pit stop at Donegal-owned McCafferty's at the Barge, Dublin. Enjoy top-notch food, cold drinks and all the live GAA. Just a short hop away. McCafferty's Dublin is your match day destination.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The Taoiseach has denied that the location of a surgical hub in Sligo was part of a government formation deal. During an interview on Highland Radio recently, Minister of State Marian Harkin claimed the decision to locate the Northwest Surgical Hub in Sligo was part of the deal done during her negotiations on the programme for government. Micheál Martin acknowledged in the Dáil last evening that Minister Harkin is strongly advocating for the facility to be developed in Sligo, but added he is also aware of the representations being made by elected representatives and others in Donegal. Responding to a question from Donegal Deputy Padraig McLaughlin, Minister Martin confirmed, the Taoiseach indeed confirmed, that a decision has yet to be reached.
There was a commitment in the programme for government for a surgical hub in the northwest, which the HSE is currently finalising a feasibility study. So we can't interfere in that feasibility study. The business case will be submitted to the Department of Health for consideration in due course. There has been discussion, as you say, vis-a-vis Sligo. People who've advanced and Minister Mary Harkin is clearly supportive and advocating strongly for Sligo.
Fianna Fáil figures in Donegal say Deputy Pat the Cope Gallagher could emerge as a presidential candidate. The Tyrconnell Tribune reports this morning that lobbying efforts to see the Donegal deputy have his name on the ticket have increased among grassroots members in Donegal ahead of a final decision in September. Deputy Gallagher himself has declined to comment. Meanwhile, Fine Gael MEP Sean Kelly has ruled himself out of the presidential race. He says he will not be seeking a nomination to contest the election for Fine Gael. The move leaves Mairead McGuinness now as the front runner to be that party's presidential candidate. The PSNI has declared a major incident in Belfast following Belfast City Council's decision to remove material from a loyalist bonfire site in the south of the city. The council has asked for police assistance, but the PSNI say no decision's been taken yet and the risks are being weighed up. The site between the Donegal Road and Westlink has attracted criticism over its proximity to asbestos and an electricity substation which powers the Royal and City hospitals. Sinn Féin's Pat Sheehan is a local MLA.
I presume the PSNI will also have to step up to the plate to ensure that this bonfire is removed safely and that those responsible for removing it are kept safe as well. That's the responsibility of the police.
Well, yesterday images emerged of a bonfire in Moygashill in County Tyrone featuring a boat with models of migrants and a sign saying "Stop the boats." It faced condemnation from various groups, including United Against Racism Donegal, who claimed the burning of effigies is a precursor to the burning of people. Jamie Bryson, editor of The Unionist Voice, says some of those complaining about the bonfire are hypocrites.
Many of these people, not 2 weeks ago, were endorsing a band on the stage at Glastonbury singing death to the IDF in respect of Israeli people, and we're defending that as edgy art, as artistic. So I mean, we can't. We'll have to have the same standard across the board, or no standard at all.
Hamas says it will release 10 hostages as part of a proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza, but the militant group has also warned that a number of issues still need to be resolved before an agreement with Israel can be reached. Earlier, President Donald Trump said he believes there's a very good chance of a deal this week or next. A woman who fell in Castlefin recently was the fifth person to do so at that location since Christmas. Councillor Martin Scanlon is calling for works to be carried out at the corner close to St Mary's School in order to have the footpath there levelled. The footpath is located close to the local post office, which is attended by a large number of older people. Councillor Scanlon says something needs to be done before there is a serious incident. Police in Derry are warning parents that they should ensure their children's safety when they're outside. It follows reports of children playing on building sites in Strathfoyle. Police say while the dangers should be obvious, there is a potential for a fatality in the case of an incident there. Weather forecast, any mist and fog will clear this morning, leaving a warm and dry day. Quite cloudy at first, but spells of sunshine will gradually develop as the day goes on. Top temperatures today, 21 to 23 degrees Celsius in a light southwesterly breeze. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock in the interim. Check all the day's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notices this Thursday morning, July 10th. The death has occurred of John Callaghan Maness Burt. John's remains will be reposing at his home this morning from 11 o'clock. Removal on Saturday morning at 10:15 to St Angus's Church, Burt, for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by interment in Burt Cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Family flowers only, please. The death has occurred of Mary Rowe Nee McKinney, Drumhaggard Burnfoot. Mary's remains are reposing at her home. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:15, going to St Patrick's Church, Iskaheen, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. tonight. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Murphy Funeral Directors. The death has occurred of Paddy Joe Coyle Gortfad Rafo, leaving his late residence this morning at 10:30 for St Eunan's Church, Rafo, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. The Mass may be viewed online on parishofrafo.ie. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to Cancer Care West, care of any family member or Kelly's Funeral Directors. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio. Dad, how does Mommy know a superhero called Quiva?
Quiva? Aviva. Mammy got new home insurance from the superheroes at Aviva.
Why are they superheroes at Aviva?
Because they helped her save 20%.
For 20% off home insurance when you buy online, it takes Aviva. Offer available when you take out a new policy online. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to minimum premium of €230 for home insurance, €115 for contents or buildings only. Home insurance is underwritten by Aviva Insurance Ireland DAC. Aviva Direct Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Paul McLaughlin of Ballochdur Garden Centre is back in studio with us a little later on, talking all things gardens, grass, hedges, trees, fruit, veg, anything you want to talk about that grows effectively in your garden, your field, or you're in your cupboard or on your windowsill or on your little porch, wherever. You don't have to have a big lawn to get those fingers green. You can splash a bit of colour into your house or flat or apartment. Any questions for Paul McLaughlin? We'll have a general chit chat, of course, given the time of year. But if you've got any questions for him, 086 60 25,000. If you get them in now, it means I can guarantee you that we get an answer for you. That's coming up in about an hour. A caller says, I can't believe Highland Radio's given that troublemaker Jamie Bryson airplay, in the process increasing his bigoted views and possibly adding to his atrocious views. Nothing is achieved. I didn't put it on. Nothing is achieved, though, in silencing others. Let's have a conversation about what he said. So is Kneecap, the funny thing is if travelling through the north recently, if you see Republican, the tricolour, you often see flying beside it Palestinian flags. And I did note as well, if you see the Union Jack flying, that you tend to see Israeli flags flying. So I don't know how those marriages formed. But anyway, but not platforming someone doesn't achieve anything, really, because let's have a conversation about what he said is putting a boat of people fleeing war or persecution on top of a bonfire and setting it on fire. Is that the same as Kneecap, who doesn't represent... Kneecap doesn't represent me, by the way. Is it that Kneecap is seen to represent Catholics or Republicans or what have you? I don't even know their music. I'm not sure if I ever listened to one of their songs the whole way through. I don't feel they represent me anyway. And it's not that I'm against what they're saying. It's just they're different generation. I wouldn't know much about them at all. But is it the same, them sort of saying... sort of saying the stuff that they said on stage, is that the equivalent to putting a boat on top of a bonfire and setting it on fire? I mean, it's worthy of a conversation. Is it the same or is it not the same? If so, why not? Or if so, why? And if not, why not? You know, that sort of a way. So I'm not a big fan of shutting people up. I know Jamie Bryson, what mandate does he have either? He's not elected. I don't know. I'm sure not every... person in the loyalist community or Protestant for that matter, there's often a crossover, obviously that's why I say that, believes that he speaks for them either, so I don't know. Hi Greg, can we all get behind Donegal this weekend? We are. Let's make a big push to get colours up around the towns and houses. Sunday will be a massive day for the county. The pride they have restored to the county is unbelievable. Let's give them everything we've got and make a lot of noise in Croke Park. I'm so scared for Sunday. I don't know how it's going to go. Well, I know in my heart and my head, but then again, we're going to win, aren't we? Can you let us know? 086 60 25,000. We're going to win. Tyrone going to win it as well. There's two cracking games. Really looking forward to the weekend. Who's going to win the games? Let us know. 086 60 25,000. Just reassure me Donegal are going to get into an All-Ireland final. That's what I'm looking for. Hi, I'm listening to Greg talking about an elderly person having money taken out of his account by a relative. If the person couldn't give evidence because of his dementia, neither could he give consent to have his funds taken by anyone. Well, one sort of we know for a fact. The other, there's ambiguity, and that is why the approach would be for CAB to get involved and question, well, how come you've got so much money going through your account now? Where did you get that money? And sort of work back the way in the case. Because there is an anomaly there or a loophole. And as I say, I'm convinced that there's not a townland or a village in this county, let's just use our area, whereby there hasn't been an older person who someone did a bit of care for them maybe in their later life, ended up with a field or all of their property or all of their land. We'd probably know that more than if they ended up with all of their money, because people put themselves in a position of trust and then they exploit that. That's what happens. And I would say it happens an awful lot. But the problem is it's very clear that a person with dementia can't give evidence. It's harder to prove that they were exploited and that funds were taken from them. And that's why CAB might be involved to sort of work back the way. That woman wants 2 teachers for 10 students, says a listener. Absolutely ridiculous. There are schools out there struggling with huge numbers per teacher, and they're complaining about the teacher for 7 students. Talk about a waste of money. Is there any more staff at this school as secretary, teachers, assistants, etc.? No, believes it's madness. Give us a counter argument to that to 086 60 25,000. And just before we get the potentially big jackpot winning numbers, the Port Salon Horse and Pony race is taking place this Saturday. The first race off at 4 o'clock. A special shout out to the 4 local riders: Tiernan McGill, Leah McGee, Brodie Ferry and Ben Leckie. Proceeds in aid of the Donegal Hospice. Lots going on this weekend. There's that big tractor run in Termon at the Lagoon. What else is happening? Let us know what's happening across the region, by the way. Is there something exciting happening in your area? 086 60 25,000. Hopefully we're all healthy and fit enough to get out and enjoy it if we can, if we do get good weather. a soft reminder just of the dangers of our open waters, the sea, the rivers and the lakes, or if there's water in quarries or what have you. The first thing we're going to do as soon as that mercury hits 25 is want to get in the water and have fun, and we should do that, but just do it safely. Please do it safely, and do what I'm going to do, hopefully, and have that conversation in the house to make sure everyone has fun, but does so in a safe manner. We shouldn't be scared, just respectful. I don't think we should be so scared of stuff that we don't do it. Have fun, get in there, jump off that pier, go swimming in the sea, just make sure it's safe to do so. Does that make sense? And we can all have great fun and come out of the weekend full of the joys of spring, I was going to say, but summer. All right, good luck if you're playing the bingo today. As I say, it is jackpot day. Here are the numbers.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 10th of July, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €7,600 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S19. It's game number 28. The jackpot number is 79. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 16, 7, 3, 88, 58, 13, 27, 31, 9, and finally 81. Phone your claim to 910-4833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Attention dancing queens. On Saturday 12th of July, Jackson's Hotel Balbuffet presents Mamma Mia, the live experience, starring the Dynamos Tribute performing all your favourite ABBA hits. Gather your dancing queens, grab your Prosecco and say I do, I do, I do to the ultimate feel-good evening. Tickets $28.50. Book online now at jacksonshotel.ie.
Are you decorating your home or maybe designing a workspace? At Foy's, we've got everything you need. As the largest paint and wallpaper stockist in the Northwest, we supply trusted names like Farrow & Ball, Dulux, Fleetwood, Little Green and Colour Trend. So from residential to commercial, we'll help you get the job done right. Visit Foy's in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet, where our qualified interior designers and paint colour consultants are ready to help.
If you know the beauty and skincare product that suits you best, you'll find them at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From moisturisers, cleansers and toners to day creams and night creams, McGee's have the top brands you know and love, like Lancôme, Clarins and La Roche-Posay. Also Elizabeth Arden, Vichy, Nukes and many more. All at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at mcgees.ie, where the best costs less.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Now until July 14th. This weekend, enjoy Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumbling Paddies and ABBA Sensations. Plus family fun and entertainment for everyone. For full details, see Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
Okay, so we know we're going to get a blast of good weather, but what often happens is that people sort of read a newspaper article or a bit of a clickbait link that talks about what it's going to be like in the hottest or brightest part of the country and then say that's what it's going to be like everywhere. Well, let's find out exactly what it's going to be like here in our region in the northwest. Kenneth Conlon, founder of the Donegal Weather Channel. Kenneth, good morning to you. So what can we expect over the next couple of days?
Morning, Greg. Well, the weather's set to pick up, as you can see there this morning. So it's that bit warmer. As the day goes on, sunshine should develop with temperatures up into around the mid-20s. But then tomorrow's actually looking even warmer again, with temperatures up around 25, 26, 27 degrees. And then when we come into Saturday, it's looking to be very warm. Temperatures might even locally in some places hit 30 Celsius in places. But Sunday then again is looking very warm, but there is a potential that we might see thunderstorms developing through the afternoon and evening. There is some uncertainty on this yet, so there is a high chance there of some very active thunderstorms. And it's also going to be very warm as well, with temperatures into the mid-20s again there on Sunday. All
right, what would lead us to this uncertainty on Sunday? I've heard that a lot all week. Why is Sunday less predictable?
Well, with Sunday at the minute, it's more so to see if the thunderstorms actually do manage to develop. So there's some of the forecasting models showing that the thunderstorms will develop. Some show that they don't, that they keep the kind of, I suppose, the rain and all off to the west of the coast. But from what I'm reviewing here this morning, there is a high potential of thunderstorms to develop through Sunday, especially across the northwest region, and there could be a few weather warnings with them thunderstorms as well.
All right. Any indications about next week? Is this just a short shot of summer, Kenneth?
Well, early next week, we're probably looking at maybe a little bit more unsettled conditions. There could be quite a few thundery days through next week, because there is some low pressure systems due to move in off Atlantic. But there is some signals maybe for later next week and the next weekend again. The conditions might become that bit drier again, and I'm seeing signs here as well that it might pick up again towards the end of the month again.
Lovely stuff, Kenneth. Thanks so very much indeed, Kenneth Conlon. You can check him out on the Donegal Weather Channel on social media. The organisers of a GEA trip for Palestinian children say they're devastated to see their visas have been rejected. GEA Palestine says their applications were turned down by the Irish Immigration Service due to insufficient documentation. They contest that any documentation that was sought from them was given. 47 people from the West Bank, including 33 children, were due to arrive here for the visit next week. Now, as you mentioned, Brendan Devaney was on with us on Monday, and I did understand that he was involved in this, and he sort of gave us a brief outline, because that's all there was at that time, that some of this group were going to come to Donegal and stuff was being put on, etc. Brendan's back with us again. Brendan, thanks for joining us. Incredibly disappointed, I would imagine, by this news. It is going to be appealed, but this is where we're at the moment. I can't hear you, Brendan. I wonder, is that a me problem or a you problem? I wonder, let's see if, just so I can check the line, Cathal O'Gilleen is there. Good morning, Cathal. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we'll get to Brendan in a second. Your liaison officer for Moats Sazor GEA camp in the West Bank. I hope I've pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, Motas Sazor, yes.
Lovely stuff, Cathal. So what has led to this refusal of visas?
Well, I think what we've dealt with from day dot is a complete bad faith acting from the Irish Embassy in terms of submission of documents, us having to chase them for confirmation, things like this. And as you say, in the letters we received and as been made public now, the documentation they required and they say we didn't give it's complete fabrication, to be honest. Part of it was in terms of detailed itineraries weren't given. We have a fully detailed itinerary down to the hour, which is handed over to them. Parts of it was about child safeguarding. We're involved with the GEA and the World Council. The GEA have been massively supportive of us and quite rightly had emphasised how important child safeguarding is. We've taken that quite to heart because, of course, we're doing this for children, you know. So every host family is completely Garda vetted. Myself, completely up to scratch in terms of even the GEA's own child safeguarding measures, legal child safeguarding measures, as are all members. So again, complete fabrication. And I think what's actually most disgusting is that part of the reason that they give was there was no adequate guarantee that these people would return and not stay in Ireland. These people live in a refugee camp. They're expelled from their homes in 1948. So for 77 years, they stayed in their land despite all the killing, despite the intifadas, despite the kidnaps, despite the demolitions, because they believe in their land, they will return to their land. So to say that they're not going to return is beyond insulting, if I'm totally honest with you, and completely, I don't know how to put this politely, just shows a clear lack of understanding of who you're dealing with.
Yeah, you say, or it's been said, that this is a political decision. Who's pulling the strings? What is the decision here? How would this... Why would there be any political involvement in this? A group of kids and their carers coming over and experiencing Irish culture and the GEA, etc.
Well, I think it's just for a number of reasons, because I think it's quite important. I was on the phone to one of the members in Ramallah last night, and he was saying, you know, when we're watching the TV and we see our children in Gaza getting killed, and this is very difficult for us, and we see the Europeans watch them and let our children in Gaza get killed, and that's very difficult to us. But we know the Irish people are with us. Everyone is saying in the street, the Irish people, but they stand with us. And I think, obviously, bringing this kind of connection to another level, another facet in terms of our native games, which they've embraced wholeheartedly, called the freedom sport, you know, I think it quite frankly terrifies people who support the Zionist cause and the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. And look, obviously, we've seen from the four Fine Gael MEPs And 3 of the 4 Fianna Fáil MEPs, they're going to continue to back Ursula von der Leyen, who has completely overstepped her mark, to support this genocide in Palestine. So I think it's quite clear that showing solidarity and being able to have Palestinian kids make connection with Irish kids and embrace this culture is something that quite frankly terrifies them and something they believe cannot be let happen.
I'll come back to you. Brendan is with us now. Brendan, sorry about that. Obviously, you were in organising mode for to welcome these children to the county. It's disappointing, to say the least.
Oh, listen, Greg, it's shocking. I mean, it's very well highlighted there. Cal spoke so well about the bit of history and the nonsense around this. I mean, when you look at Riesling, it's a stamp for visa that's needed here. It's special permission that our government can grant. Now, if you even look at the situation there with the children in Gaza that were seriously ill, that were coming to Ireland for treatment, there was a row then between our own, Department of Health and our Department of Justice. They're our own departments. They're our own people. They have a row with each other over these kids. These 30 kids are supposed to come. 12 of them didn't make it. And then about 6 or 7 of them died in between times. And it's just shocking to think that we would have some bureaucracy in there. Now, where's that bureaucracy coming from? It's only come from one place, Greg. For years, people had some kind of political ideologies. Now, there's no such thing anymore. Politics is about one thing. It's about money. It's about getting re-elected. And the evil agents of Israel have their claws in so many places now. It's so obvious where they are around the world with APAC and the millions that they pump in to all these countries, particularly America, UK, Germany, France, etc. But here in Ireland, we're supposed to stand alone. We're supposed to stand with the persecuted. If you don't stand with the persecuted, you stand for nothing, in my view. So the fact that this is even a question is absolutely ridiculous. Now, there's certain people in our government that are being leaned on for different reasons by Israelis, and they've been backing it up, and they've been using their influence now to put spanners in the works. So we have good people here, and they're trying, but there's other people coming in and trying to block off a trip like this. And as Calvin said,
is there any weight to the argument that perhaps the full trip everywhere they were going to be at all given times wasn't necessarily available? So in other words, that they, to the letter of the law, couldn't be assured that no harm could come to the children.
Yeah, Greg, if you look at what's going to come behind this now, the way these kids would have been received, there's a film crew with them. They had minders, and everywhere they went, there was people. I mean, when the lads there come on to me, and they've set all this up, as I said to you Monday, I'm honoured to even be asked to do something here. This would be a life-changing moment for these kids. So everywhere they went, there's going to be a massive amount of people around them trying to help them, safeguard them, show them some kind of experience, show them our culture, show them we stand with them. So there's not an opportunity for this nothing to be other than a brilliant experience. Yeah. I mean, Greg, take it like this, Croke Park All-Ireland final day, these kids are going to be received, going to come out in the pitch at half-time, 82,000. Can you imagine the welcome? Can you imagine the outpouring of love and emotion that will be in that after all the horrors that we're seeing that's happening out there in the Gaza, continue happening in the West Bank, that we at least could do this gesture for them. And now, of course, it's caught in bureaucracy, and that bureaucracy is tied up in money and in the influence of Israel.
Well, just if I could jump in there as well, even just you mentioned about the itinerary, I think that's a fair question. But look, I think it says it all. If you go on our social medias, you can find the itinerary yourself, Greg, and our listeners, they can find the itinerary themselves. The department had all this. It was completely detailed. This was a complete nonsense issue they've raised.
So, given everything then that was, last moment. I mean, then those that support the Israeli government then perhaps maybe could have seen this as some sort of a Palestinian propaganda piece then. So is that why they might have been so up in arms to try and block it? Is that your working theory, Cathal? Well, I'm not saying that was the motivation for the trip. I'm just saying with camera crews there and all that 82,000 people. You know the imagery, how it might have looked and how it might have played on an international stage.
Yes, no, I totally understand. But in terms of you talk about propaganda, but if you're doing anything, you're putting any sort of idea, someone's going to call that propaganda, and what we are aiming to do is show Ireland and to show the world that these children are children like any other. They deserve,
Yeah.
because they all grew up, frankly, in horrific conditions where trauma and fear is a part of everyday life. And to show people these are kids that just be like me and you. Like, I was there in January and meeting these children, and they're unbelievable, hearts of gold. And I think you're absolutely bang on there in terms of this can't be seen, because we hear all the frankly racist ideas that get put out about, like we heard from Isaac Herzog or people in the Israeli government that every child, that's a terrorist and rating. Like, people said the exact same about us. I'm based in Scotland now. The exact same thing was said about us. You can't let us over because we're all IRA men. It's the exact same thing. So yeah, I think that's definitely a massive part of it, in terms of you can't let these people be seen to be human or to be seen to be like me and you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to put to Brendan next. The one thing about sort of the media coverage of something, or seeing the pictures on the TV, you see it every day. You see a child in rubble, covered in dust, and that image of the blood through the dust. But you see that all of the time, and I wonder, does there come a point where it's a picture, not a person? And the danger with this initiative is that it does put a human face to what's happening there, Brendan. That it does show that these are people, that they are kids, and I think maybe that's, if there were efforts to quell that would probably be the reason why, that you would see the face of the children that are just pictures or videos.
Yeah, well, listen, the social media and the media general narrative battle that's going on here is absolutely crazy. And again, it just goes back to the same things as politics. It goes back to money and influence and who's controlling it. Now, in media terms, and I'm obviously talking about yourselves, Greg, because Highland have been great and you're always very fair in your show, but national medias are completely bought and been screwed and been told so many lies. But if you look at social media and you look at people sharing images and sharing videos and what's come out of Gaza and what's coming out of the truth about the West Bank, and if you look at the masses, right, look at Glastonbury the other week in terms of the outpouring of emotion, and look at everywhere where there is a coming together in support of these people. It's completely against the political will. So the masses now are calling for action, they're calling for help, and they're calling to end genocide, they're calling to help these people out. But yet at a political level,
I just want a theory in relation to this, right? Issues like this become politicized. So in other words, if you support a certain individual or you are of a certain background, you will be pro-Israel, anti-Palestine. And then if you are on the other side and you follow a certain political party or whatever, you will be pro-Israel. But they're the two extremes. And I think in places like Glastonbury, what you actually see is the majority that think for themselves, right, that they're not following an ideology or they're not following an individual or a political movement or a person or aren't ardent in a certain religion or whatever it might be. And I think sometimes what you see in Glastonbury is what you don't see in the media. It's just normal people who judge each situation for themselves. They're not on Twitter, they're not on X, they're not on whatever, and they say, what's happening is not right. Now, of course, the fact that the guy in question started talking about death to the IDF doesn't help anyone's cause, I don't think, or saying murder your MPs. That's the problem, right? But if you strip that back and you look at the natural reaction to just the middle ground, Brendan, their voices arguably aren't being represented.
Yeah, I mean, hysteria over a comment about a genocidal army, it just shows you how things are so stupid in this world. And
well, you can't say that, Brendan, because that's like saying hysteria over a boat on top of a bonfire in Northern Ireland. Just forget that too.
Let's analyse it, right? Death to IDF means death to IDF doesn't mean death to each soldier.
No, he said death to soldiers.
Well, here's my take on that. He meant that army needs to be disbanded.
But no, I know that. No, but he did. I saw a subsequent video where he
no harm, right?
He referenced soldiers.
Right? You tell me how you train soldiers to shoot children, right? Shoot them in the head and shoot them in the heart. Absolutely key snipers, trained to the last, and you train them right. So you hand me a gun, you tell me, go and shoot that child. If I had one bullet and it was me or the child, I'll take the bloody bullet. And I wouldn't even know that child. The fact that we are breeding monsters like that they are so indoctrinated into that type of evil is what's creating this outpouring of grief from us. Yet our political establishment are not behind it. Now, Ireland is probably one of the best, but they're still not doing enough. So how can we get blocked from trying to do this gesture? And you said this is all about politicising, about not allowing the West Bank and the Palestinian kids to be human. And that's what they're going to be when they're here. And that's what they're trying to block.
Yeah.
Just if I could interject
of course,
there
Cathal.
quickly. I think you make a very good point there, Greg, about seeing people in Glastonbury talk about regular people. And I guess someone who's on the street and part of the movement over here, and Britain, the Imperial Heartland. It is ordinary people, and like it's people with humanity. Because as you say, when you see the image of a child covered in dust with blood coming from their hair, how could you not be moved? Like if you listen to Palestinian political factors and actors or civil society, when they talk to us in the West, they speak the way they announce their addresses to the free people of the world. So that's what we are, the free people of the world, and that's exactly what it is. It's not about being pro this or pro that. I'm pro humanity. I'm pro freedom.
Well, the way I look at it is
whether it's home or abroad, and this is what this project is a part of.
Of course,
of making this connection of freedom and sport and cultural institutions between two people.
Like, when you talk about what's happening in Gaza or what have you, this conversation, it's always the same. It's like, October 7th, and then people say, well, it didn't start on October 7th, and then people go back to the 70s and the 50s and all. But there's no as soon as people have that, I'm seeing, thousands upon thousands of kids being blown to pieces, and not even to talk of those that survive, what kind of post-traumatic stress they would have. Kids dying because they can't get access to formula. Like, I am not in... That is, in and of itself, should be enough for the world to say, I don't care when it started, who's responsible. This has to stop. This has to stop, and discuss the other stuff around a table or whatever it might be. But, Brendan, the fact that people try and justify what's happening to these women, children and men as well. I mean, we always talk about women and children. If it was my two youngest boys, for an example, well, there's only one now that wouldn't be of fighting age. Boys as well. Like, timelining it, that's very, very important. But let's just stop what's happening at the moment, starving people to death, herding them into certain areas, blowing them to bits, blowing tents up left, right and centre. That should be enough of in itself to stop the convo, but stop that, what's happening there, and then let's address everything else down the line somewhere or in parallel, Brendan.
Yeah, but you're thinking about that as a decent human being, which is not what's happened. This is the evil that's been brought there. But I'm just saying about the IDF and about the Zionism and about how they've taken control. They obviously have completely manipulated and brainwashed these people. How could you get to be so evil? How could you get to consider another human being as not a human being? So, that's your starting point out there. So the only way we can influence that, because it's not going to happen from within that country now, to me, what's going on in there is just, it's evil to a point where you can't find words for it. So the only pressure we can put on them is from the outside. Now, what have they done to the outside? They have corrupted the outside. So the only will now that we do have is the will of the people to get on their establishments, and whoever is in political power, to put pressure on them. And this is Ireland, Greg, and I was saying to the lads in the group, we all live together, we're close, we're not city-based. We know we're politicians, we know we're people, they live beside us. We got to put the heat on them. We got to make sure that they're responsible and they're acting and they're doing what the people want. Because at this point, Greg, anything we can do in terms of helping out is the very minimum that we can do while these people are living in hell.
Brendan Devaney, listen, thank you very much for your time. We'll chat again soon. Cathal, what is the appeal process and what's the likelihood of success?
Well, look, if you're doing anything off a likelihood of success, you wouldn't be doing anything at all, because a lot of cards are always stacked against you in this game. So look, we're going through with it. And as we say to the Minister, Jim O'Callaghan, TD, and we say to his coalition partners in Donegal, Charlie McConnell-Ogue and Pat the Cope Gallagher, talk to us. Work with us. We're ready to sit down and make this happen. If there's one piece of documentation you really think of, that's fine. Come say this. We'll get it into you. But as we say, it is very, very clear from our point of view that this is a decision that's made at the top table, and it can also then be overturned to the top table. So our next steps is we need to get this turned over extremely, extremely quickly. Obviously, embassy in Tel Aviv is closed on Fridays for Shabbat, the Jewish holy day. So very, very tight timeline. But again, contact us. I'm available all day. You all have our phone numbers
Yeah.
and the phone numbers of everyone else in GA Palestine. We're ready to make this work. And again, just want to re-emphasise, this is for 33 children who want to come and experience Ireland and play our national game.
Yeah.
You know, they're booked in for two nights.
Someone makes an interesting point, Calais, before I go, and I should have actually remembered this myself, because even going back, I think, 20 years ago in my Northwest radio days, we were chatting to people in Donegal town who were very active in bringing kids from Chernobyl over here. We've been bringing hundreds and thousands of children from Chernobyl to this country and to Donegal over the years, and this was never an issue. Actually, I'll read that person's text in its entirety, but that's actually a really interesting point. Cathal, thanks for your time.
Thank you very, very much.
All right.
And if anyone could please listen in, we have a petition on our social media pages as an uplift thing. Please sign it. Contact your TD, contact your councillor, contact anyone of influence, and we really appreciate it. Go on, Mila.
All right, Slán, thanks very much for that. Someone says on Facebook or on YouTube, actually watching on YouTube, should Highland Radio be impartial to wars, especially wars that have no business in Ireland? And the guests with Kefia, Israel has not prevented food from... I should know that word. I can't think of it. Has not prevented food from entering Gaza. I'm not talking about the war, or I'm talking about humans being killed. I don't think I have to be impartial in relation to that. At the moment, this is one-sided. It's Israel bombing Palestine, and there's tens of thousands of innocent people being killed. I don't think you have to be impartial in relation to that. If you want to come on and talk about Israel being justified in what they're doing, please feel free to do so. There's one thing I'll be incredibly clear about. What happened on October 7th a couple of years ago was horrendous, absolutely disgusting what happened. The capturing of people and the holding of them, keeping people hostage and what have you, and them dying in captivity, holding onto their bodies, holding onto their hostages is inexcusable. They should be released absolutely immediately. But is it about the release of those hostages, or is it about the destruction of Gaza? Gaza is pretty much gone. We've talked previously from what Israel have actually said. They've said that back Donald Trump in saying move all the people out of Gaza, move them out of Gaza and turn it into a resort. Benjamin Netanyahu stood there and nodded, thinking that's a good idea. So how do you strike a balance in that? Actually, to be fair, they should move everybody out of Gaza, move them into Egypt or some other place and make that into casinos and beachfront properties. Do I say that that's what they should do to be fair and balanced? Come on now.
Highland Bakery brings the magic to your morning tea break. Golden scones, still warm, soft in the middle and impossible to resist. Look for the packet with the rabbit on it. Fresh from the oven to your local shop. 25 years of Highland Bakery.
Leisureland Redcastle, open every day all summer long. Perfect for family day trips. Offers excellent value for birthday party packages. For a memorable family experience this summer, visit Leisureland Redcastle. See leisurelandredcastle.ie for more details.
Unmissable deals at Evolve Clothing. Tommy Hilfiger jeans only €50. Chinos and jeans from just €10. Summer sale is on now at Letterkenny Retail Park or shop online at evolveclothing.com. Stocks won't last.
Are you female, currently unemployed and looking for a new career in construction? Rural Enterprise SkillNet is delighted to announce the next Women in Construction programme commencing September 1st in Letterkenny. For more information or to apply, visit ruralenterpriseskillnet.ie. Closing date for applications is August 12th with interviews on August 14th. This Rural Enterprise SkillNet programme is co-funded by the Government of Ireland and the European Union.
TFI Local Link operates evening and weekend services throughout rural Ireland to help you stay connected 7 days a week. We know life doesn't just happen 9 to 5, so if you're commuting, shopping, visiting family, or going out in the evenings or on the weekends, let TFI Local Link take you there. Visit transportforireland.ie.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
It's the 2025 World Chip Sizzle Freestyle Contest, and Charlie's Chips are in the lead again. They're coming up to the finishing pan, and Charlie's Chips are the 2025 World Champions. Sourced locally, hand-cut and freshly cooked. Served with mouth-watering burgers, fresh battered fish or delicious chicken. Plus a great selection of gluten-free options. Open Tuesday to Saturday 12 to 8 and every Friday for breakfast from 9. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's on Pierce Road, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Join us Monday, July 14th for the festival's grand finale, featuring ABBA Sensations Live, followed by a spectacular fireworks display. For the latest festival updates, follow Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
Now, Paul O'Kane's head coach with Letterkenny Rugby Club's senior women's team. Good morning to you. Thanks so much for calling up, Paul.
How's things?
It's great. And we also have with us Grace Samati, who's captain of Letterkenny Rugby Club's senior women's team. Grace, thank you for calling up. Really appreciate your time. Right, so Letterkenny Rugby Club is setting up a senior women's rugby team for the first time in 2 decades, Paul. This is a big deal.
It is a big deal, and I suppose it's something that enticed me back down into the club. There's been fantastic work done at underage level now by Collie Farrell and the rest of the youth coaches. Grace being one of the girls that has come through that platform right the way through the Irish level. So there's just a great opportunity now. The club themselves want to grow something pretty special and give an opportunity for women in the area to hopefully eventually grow to All-Ireland League level. That's the aspiration. That's the dream, and when we talked about that at our first meeting on Sunday evening there. So no, it's a fantastic opportunity for myself. It's what I do for a living, rugby coaching, so I'm enthused by something new and trying to provide women and girls in the area with an opportunity to play at the top level.
And there is a gap there, Grace, isn't there, for women to compete at the higher level?
Yeah, there is. Like, so far it's been that bridge from the under-18s and the women's age group for the girls, and it's been hard to find teams that'll support that in Ulster, and it's really good to see that the club is backing women's rugby, and it's phenomenal that they're backing it so much that we can compete with the men's and even hopefully get games alongside the men as well. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Do you get a sense that there's or do you know there's enough interest there to formulate the team, the squad effectively that would be required?
Oh, absolutely. So many girls have come through that under-18s age group. From my perspective as well, there's so much talent in the girls' side in Letterkenny, and there's so many young girls looking to aspire with a future in rugby, and I just think having this platform of the women's team is just going to be a phenomenal opportunity for girls.
Yeah, and Paul's a bit of catching up to do. If you look at what's happening with Finn Harps and in the soccer realm, and what the GEA are doing as well, the women's game, particularly with the GEA, but I'm not saying more so than Finn Harps, but the women's game stands there alongside the men's game, certainly in terms of interest, if not crowds.
No, and I think that's what Letterkenny are trying to do. Chris Digamus, he approached me a couple of weeks ago around the idea, covertly I would describe it as. But I think that there is a huge opportunity to provide something tangible, that the girls have an opportunity to play top level. Because I say, my environment on a daily basis is that this is my job, but it's my profession. So the club actually going to a point where they've brought in somebody like me to support the girls. Like you asked a question there a wee second ago, had we, I suppose, the basis to grow a squad. There's around 36 girls within the group at the minute. Of that group, I would think that 5 or 6 of them have come through Ulster pathways. I set up a leadership group yesterday. We will be very young, but very talented. We have an interest now starting to come from outside the game. So we've a young girl from Convoy who's come through, was a county Gaelic footballer, who's wanting to give rugby a go.
Brilliant.
We want to hammer social media. Obviously we're here today and just raise a hand.
Yeah, because often, say for instance in terms of women's boxing for an example, you have Katie Taylor hit the heights, and then lots of young people started getting involved in boxing, and then they come through to become the next Katie Taylor. It's a little bit different, is it, with rugby, because there's great participation, female participation already at a younger level, but there wasn't really the senior team to feed into. So it's pushing an open door there, effectively, Paul.
Immensely, and the fact that there's below the senior women's team now, you have a group of around 60 to 70 girls at under 14, 16, 18 level. You now have girls right through down into mini level. So there's a conveyor belt started there. But even beyond that, the fact that Letterkenny have went out and provided probably the best coaching setup for women's rugby in the probably the Northwest, call a spade a spade. You would like to think over a period of time that more talented girls from other areas, clubs, will actually migrate and be attracted into the...
Grace, it's an exciting time to be involved in, isn't it, at the start of something? I mean, obviously it would be fantastic if the team had maintained and all that, but it's very exciting for someone like yourself and the other girls to be at the start of something potentially really special.
Yeah, it's really exciting to be a part of this, and I'm just really happy to be appointed this position, you know, and be able to give back to the club, because obviously like this club is where I learned to play and I've grown with this club, and I really want to be able to showcase what the club has done for me, and be able to like show that I can bring talent into the club and showcase for girls, like, you know, like our home is much like there's so many opportunities here at home, like we don't need to go elsewhere for those opportunities because we have them here now.
Yeah, for sure. And then opportunities maybe beyond, who's to say? Because that's you know,
true.
there's every step is filled now. And were you encouraged at, you know, the training so far and what you're seeing around you, Grace?
Oh yeah, our first session there on Tuesday night was absolutely great. Like from like coming together, a group of girls, some girls haven't even played rugby or picked up a ball before, and just like 20 minutes at the end of the session we got into some shape and we were looking great.
Right, okay,
and it was so encouraging. So
what, Paul, once the team's established, where do you start? What league do you slot into, or is there, how does that work? You know, I mean,
so it's like I suppose a pyramid structure that you have within Irish rugby. The ultimate goal is All Ireland League, where we will play the best teams from around the country. At the minute we will start in what's called Championship B, with an opportunity come Christmas time to rise into Championship A. That would give us an opportunity to play in Division 2 essentially of Ulster within the space of a matter of months. That would give us an opportunity to start there next season. So within 2 to 3 years, the aim is to get into the Premiership within Ulster, which, with the talent that exists in the group, to be honest, I didn't hold any punches when I said to them that has to be the aspiration. Like,
yeah, but I mean, and you've done it with the men, so you know what's what, you know what's required.
You just have to feed and give it oxygen. With the men, it was pretty similar. Within the first year, we went from barely having a squad to finishing within the top 4 in the league, and we won the Gordon West Cup. The second year, we got to a Gordon West final and we got promotion, and the men's team are going from strength to strength. I've kind of spoke with Grace, funny, we're just chatting there now. To a degree, you can rise quicker within the women's game, because there's probably a smaller number of
but
sides.
you potentially can get found out very quickly then too. You have to be ready to go with the big boys.
You've got to be ready, and that's,
so to speak.
We have to prepare now and grow something over the next 2 years to facilitate the other very talented young girls
for
who are
sure.
coming on.
So often when we talk about women's rugby on the show, and we have quite regularly, you know, it's about participation, tag rugby, come along, have a bit of crack, you know, and all. Just to make clear, what we're talking about here is top level sport.
It's performance.
And as I say, I'm only just saying that so for listeners who might think it's similar to previous conversations, this is about formulating a women's team to go and compete at the very highest level, which means that if you've got very competitive women who feel a little bit maybe disenfranchised in their own sport or what have you, there's an opportunity potentially here in a short space to be competing in rugby at the top level.
Absolutely. Grace is an Irish international. She's within the Ulster squad. We have other girls that are within or have been within that provincial environment. So any girls, woman that would be interested in getting involved in a performance sport, we would be absolutely delighted to see them down. As I say, we've already had a former County Gaelic footballer come on board We've a girl that's coming from a handball background, basketball background. We're very much an open book in that regard. We do want to cater for a development level below that. Ultimately, you can't have a top without a bottom, and vice versa. So there's girls that arrived the other night who were completely alien to the sport, but within probably the guts of an hour, they were picking it up. And,
that's a lot of transferable skills,
100%,
isn't there? And competitiveness and the will to want to just beat everyone else, even if they're your teammates. That's it, Grace, isn't it? That's you can't train that into someone. I think a sports person has that.
Yeah, as my old youth coach Colin Farrell used to say, good people make good rugby players. And just like there's one thing you can't teach, like you can't teach work rate, and some people are just born to run over people, as Paul said the last day there. Like this sport is so it's so welcoming to everyone. Like sure, I never played sport before I picked up rugby. Like I was so new into it. Like I still remember my first session.
How quickly did you say, hold on a second, I'm handy at this?
I picked up the sport in 2021.
Yeah.
And I got into the girls' pathway in Ulster in 2022.
See, that's it, and you see it in athletics in this county and in soccer as well to some extent, the more professional outside the GA sports, let me put it like that there. The talent's there. It's just connecting the person with the sport and the coaches. And we've seen, we overachieve, I would argue. In a very positive way, given our population. You know what I mean? We do really well at the top level. Paul, you're shaking your head. I'm not sure if you're agreeing or disagreeing.
Donegal,
you're going to hit me.
Donegal won. No, I actually completely agree. I think...
yes, I won!
I think Donegal, as I sort of talk about as a race of people, I think the woman absolutely perfectly suits sport. I said to the girls, I went down and watched the Donegal women's Gaelic team against Galway there down in Lifford the other week. And I couldn't get over the athleticism, the fitness levels, the professionalism.
It's top tier stuff.
It's absolutely top end stuff. So it's just about providing the opportunity, which Letterkenny Rugby Club are now doing for women.
Brilliant stuff. So all women aged over 18 are welcome at the moment. Training, I just feel there's a real opportunity for an ambitious woman here to be part of something really, really special. Which is, those opportunities don't come often or that often. So how do people get more information? They can contact any of the social media platforms. My contact details will be available there. Anybody can drop down to any of the sessions. So we're training on a Tuesday from 8 to 9:30, a Friday from 7 to 8:30, a Sunday from 7 to 8:30 in the evening, which was the girls' own decision to go immediately to 3 evenings a week. We had over 20 at our first session, which, to be honest, is unheard of at most women's sessions. I can hear Grace saying, go on or go home.
Yes, that's true.
And we're going to do this, we're going to do it.
Exactly.
We're going to provide everything. We've had a squad meet already where we talked around we will tour this year. I think the outlook is that we'll probably tour over to England. So another fantastic opportunity. It's a huge part of the rugby culture to go on tour and make new friends. And as I say, we really want to put the full back end of the club behind this.
Brilliant. And with role models like Grace, but still at the top of her game too, I mean, it's fantastic to have that. Grace, you would encourage people to get involved, of course, if they meet the criteria we've been talking about.
Yeah, of course. In rugby, it's just all it takes is just having that hard working ethic and being determined. And obviously, there's so many lovely girls at the club. It's such a welcoming team.
Yeah. And there's so many different sort of roles in rugby as well.
That's
too,
true.
Isn't there?
There's something for everyone.
Place for everybody.
Yeah,
and
there's a place for everyone.
That's what we tried to explain to the girls. There's a place for everybody, and what I want these girls to become are the role models for the younger girls. Grace is going to be a nurse. I had a girl came back to rugby the other night who had a baby 5 weeks ago, and she was out in a rugby field 5 weeks later. It's such a cross section of all.
Having been around newborns, I can understand. No, but it's amazing return to remain amazing return, fantastic. Isn't it? All right, okay. Paul O'Kane, head coach with Letterkenny Rugby Club senior women's team. Thank you for joining us, Paul. They've got a great person in you because you care and you've got passion and you want to achieve and you've set standards and I'm a bit like that. I think you should set standards, but then you expect everyone to be at those as well too, because
100%.
that's how you know everyone wants to get where you want to go. Grace Samati, captain of Letterkenny Rugby Club senior women's team, continued success with Ulster, the national team, and your career, of course, as well. Just balance all that stuff while you're at it. Both of you, thank you very much. We'll share more details about that on our Facebook page, by the way.
The 9 till noon show, proudly sponsored by the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton, now in full swing. This weekend, catch headline acts: Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumbling Paddies and ABBA Sensations. For tickets, search Lennon Festival on Eventbrite.
A laptop with great power, brilliant performance and premium sound, all for just €429. At Ben Sweeney Euronics, get the refurbished HP EliteBook laptop with Windows 11, 32 gigs of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage. Enjoy a crisp screen display and Bang & Olufsen audio for crystal clear sound. Perfect for work, study or play. All for just €429 with a 3-year warranty, only at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny and the shopping centre Dunlow.
It's the 50% off mega summer sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Up to 50% off all tiles, wood flooring, outdoor porcelain tiles, cladding and bathware. Everything in store has been slashed in price. The Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring 50% off mega summer sale. Stores nationwide. Sale now on.
Carrigart's biggest weekend of the summer is here. Carrigart Fest kicks off this Friday with One for the Road. Bingo Loco goes country on Saturday and the Whistling Donkeys are live Sunday. All in the marquee. Tickets going fast on Eventbrite or at reception. Stay the night and enjoy the new restaurant. Book now at carrigarthotel.com.
Looking for a great day out right here in Donegal? Step into the Crawley Distillery Visitor Experience. Proudly voted one of the best places to visit by TripAdvisor. Set in a beautifully restored historic building, it's where the story of Crawley whisky comes to life. Take a guided tour, explore the rich history and enjoy a warm fáilte in the heart of the Gaeltacht. Book now at thecrawleydistillery.com.
Make real summer savings at Super Value. Fire up the barbecue with 3 for €10 meats. HB ice creams like Twister and Magnum 2 for €6. Selected Cadbury and Hunky Dories 3 for €5. Until Sunday, scan your Real Rewards card or app and get the Ned Sauvignon Blanc 6-bottle pack for €50. Make real summer savings at Super Value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find amazing savings across our departments with up to 50% off your favourite brands in our summer sale. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okay, any mist and fog clearing now at this stage to leave a warm and dry day. Quite cloudy at first, but spells of sunshine will gradually develop. Highest temperatures of 21 to 23 degrees in light southerly breezes. Southwesterly, that is.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And sitting before me with the very latest news headlines at 11 o'clock is Donna Marie Doherty. Good morning.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The location of the Northwest Surgical Hub was not a part of a government formation deal. Taoiseach Micheál Martin denied the claims made by Minister of State Marian Harkin during an interview on Highland Radio. Micheál Martin acknowledged that Minister Harkin is strongly advocating for the facility to be developed in Sligo, but added he's also aware of the representations being made by elected representatives and others in Donegal and that no decision has yet been made. Fianna Fáil figures in Donegal say Deputy Pat the Cope Gallagher could emerge as a presidential candidate. The Cheer Connaught Tribune reports this morning that lobbying efforts to see the Donegal deputy have his name on the ticket increased among party grassroots in Donegal ahead of a final decision in September, although Deputy Gallagher has not commented. Meanwhile, Sean Kelly has ruled himself out of the race for presidency, leaving Mairead McGuinness as the frontrunner to be Fine Gael's presidential candidate. The PSNI has declared a major incident following Belfast City Council's decision to remove material from a loyalist bonfire site in South Belfast. The council has asked for police assistance, but the PSNI says no decision's been taken yet and the risks are being weighed up. The site between Donegal Road and Westlink has attracted criticism over its proximity to Asbestos, an electricity substation which powers the Royal and City hospitals. Hamas says it will release 10 hostages as part of a proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza, but the militant group has also warned that a number of issues still need to be resolved before an agreement with Israel can be reached. Earlier, President Trump says he believes there's still a very good chance of a deal this week or next. A woman who fell in Castlefin recently was the 5th person to do so at a location since Christmas. Councillor Martin Scanlon is calling for works to be carried out to see a footpath levelled. It's located near the local post office, which is attended by large numbers of older people. And finally, consumers are being told to stop using certain models of air fryers immediately, with thousands of the appliances being recalled. The Competition and Consumer Protection Commission says almost 60,000 of the affected tower models have been sold. A manufacturing defect which could cause the appliance to overheat has been uncovered. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back with more at 12 noon.
Thanks very much, Donna Marie. We'll be back after the break.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Linen Festival Ramelton. Now until July 14th. This weekend, enjoy Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumbling Paddies and ABBA Sensations. Plus family fun and entertainment for everyone. For full details, see Linen Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
Minister to seek nitrates extension. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, shock and surprise in farming as goalpost shift and derogation renewal. Find out what changes are in store for your farm. Factories scrambled for Finnish cattle. New plan to tax tractor tyres. Wheeling prices continue to rocket at Marts as lamb prices are under pressure. Has the ESB the right to put power lines on your land? Plus your chance to win a €30,000 Husqvarna mower. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
With MasterCard Priceless Experiences, the possibilities are endless. You could be front row, screaming every lyric, discovering new destinations, or a land of mouth-watering flavours. Register at priceless.com to unlock a world of priceless experiences. One place, endless possibilities. Priceless.
Imagine this, toes in the sand at Old Head Beach, the thrill of zip-lining at Westport Adventure, wandering colourful streets, ice cream in hand, sailing across the calm waters of Clew Bay, the wind in your hair on the Great Western Greenway. Westport. Find your own adventure at destinationwestport.com.
Looking for your next big career move? Come along to the TCS Careers Evening at the Tata Consultancy Services Global Delivery Centre, Letterkenny Business and Technology Park, Wednesday 9th of July from 3 till 7 p.m. Meet the team, explore exciting roles and discover where a career at TCS could take you. Visit tcscareers.ie for current opportunities. That's tcscareers.ie.
This July 18th and 19th, Gweedore comes alive with Salt Music Festival 2025. On Saturday 19th, experience The Stunning, the Sharon Shannon Big Band, Lee Brady, the Luke Combs Experience, and many more. For more information and tickets, go to saltfela.ie. Salt Music Festival 2025. 2 days, one place, great music.
Aldi's uniform bundles aren't just great value. With a 2-pack of polo shirts, skirt or trousers, plus a cardigan or sweatshirt, all for less than €5. They also come with a 12-month satisfaction guarantee. So they're ready for all the thrills and, well, spills of a whole school year. Bring it on. In store now, while stocks last.
Coming up very shortly, we've got some live music from Mairead Niwini. She's going to be accompanied by Kieran Curran. We're talking about an event that's coming up, all very exciting, so stay tuned for that. Always a treat to talk to Mairead, especially when we get to hear her perform as well. Talking to the Paul and Grace about the Women's Rugby Club, by the way, they are also looking for a sponsor. So there is an opportunity for a local business there to, I suppose, get in early on something that could be really, really big. So I presume you can just contact Letterkenny Rugby Club if you would like to back the women there, back Paul, back the club, and be part of something potentially really special. I think it's going to be special. Some of your comments here now. Hi, listening to you talking to Brendan Devaney and listening to him talk about the children coming here from war-torn country with such passion. It's so great to hear. Totally agree with Brendan that all world leaders have blood on their hands for trying to block these children from coming and standing by and doing nothing to stop this war and all the war crimes that are happening. That comes in from Nolene. Stop calling it a war. It's genocide, says a listener. Another, what about the holding of all the Gazan people and bombing innocent people? They've been suffering and still suffering at the hands of Israel. The media has a responsibility to report stories with balance. There are two sides in this, and both are as bad as each other. 86% of Palestinians support Hamas, and that's wrong. The Hamas Charter's main objective is to eradicate Israel and all Jews. The entire world thinks Putin is a bad man and Ukraine is not good either. Ukraine killed 8,000 of its own people because they identified as Russian, says a listener there. We've discussed all of this in great detail. We're talking about a group of people trying to bring some kids over to some GEA events here, and want to talk about how bad Hamas is. Hamas are not a very nice group of individuals, don't get me wrong, but there is about 14,000 Christians killed every year in Nigeria. Who's shouting out about them? Well, if you want to come on and discuss that and give me more information, or indeed point us in the right direction, more than happy to do so. I think that Brendan's brilliant. Everything he says is right. Hostages that were taken were waving white flags and the Israeli soldiers shot them anyway. What more do you need to know? They just want to kill. And there was an IDF a soldier, a senior soldier, who's been speaking under the cloak of anonymity about being trained to shoot civilians, etc. I wish to congratulate Brendan Devaney on his strong opinions. He spoke very well. Well done for speaking out for the poor creatures getting slaughtered in Gaza. Quite an assumption to make that people not on the internet don't have an ideology. How do you think ideology spread before Facebook and Twitter, Greg? Everyone has an ideology. Everyone has a set of beliefs and biases. This enlightened centrism thing doesn't actually exist. All that is fence sitting in an attempt to appear neutral when all you are is pro-status quo. I don't agree. I'm not saying, by the way, I mean, you talk about ideologies, it's the strength of that. I mean, people have their sensibilities and what they believe is right or what is wrong, but they don't necessarily align themselves to a whole plethora of thinking. And on it goes. Loads of comments in relation to that. We'll get to them, of course, as this hour progresses, but we're joined in the studio now by Mairead Niewini, lead singer and fiddler with Alton. Good morning to you. How are you keeping? Great to have you with us. Are we all tuned up, ready to go?
We are tuned up, and this is Kieran Kern here, my bouzouki player.
Bouzouki, talk to me about the bouzouki. It's I don't care if it makes a noise. It looks absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
I know it does make a noise. I've heard you on it before, but it's a beautiful instrument, isn't it?
Yeah, this one was made by a guy in Northumberland called Stefan Sobel.
What's the heritage of that, not that particular instrument, but the bouzouki?
Well, the bouzouki was, it's based on the Greek instrument, and it was introduced into Irish music around the end of the 60s, I think, by Johnny Moynihan. Gets the credit for bringing it in, and it seems to have worked really well with Irish music.
And its shape there, what does that lend itself to, say, compared to what people might be, a traditional guitar shape, for an example?
Well, it's more like a kind of a bass mandolin type of sound. But this is like what they call the Irish bouzouki. It's got a flat back.
Okay.
Whereas the Greek bouzouki has a different sound.
Is that because of our bellies?
Yeah. That's it.
Because I'm thinking if it had a round back, I ain't playing with it.
This one's adopted for Irish people.
Okay, right, very good. And you can play it one-handed in case you want to drink. Is that it? What? I'm walking into every stereotype there. My apologies. Maureen, I'll come to you in a moment. It's just the string setup here, right? So to my non-musician eye, it looks like four sets of two strings.
Yeah, it's like a mandolin. It's like part of that family, the mandolin family. You have mandolin, mandola, mandocellos, and they're all like 8 strings.
And do you play those strings individually, or do you play them as full pairs?
No, you hit them like, it gives a kind of a ring probably that you don't get from a single string, You get
It's a lovely sound, isn't it, Mairead? And it works so well with your beautiful instrument.
The fiddle.
How long have you had that one?
Oh, well, I have this one now about 20 years, but fiddles are just like, they become an extension of yourself.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because you hear these horror stories sometimes of a fiddle being lost in an airplane or something along those lines, and it does. You do get that.
Well, you did help me with this fiddle when it was broken to smithereens.
Right.
And Fitz down here in Letterkenny put it all together, lovingly put it all together, and it sounds better than what it was beforehand.
And I suppose in a way, because it's more to its story, it makes it a little bit more special as well.
Oh, well, I mean, when I saw it in bits in the airport after it fell out of the case, it just went, I thought I lost a limb, And then I sent it to a fiddle maker in Shetland whom I thought would be, and he said, throw it into the bin. But I was speaking to Fitz down here in Letterkenny, and he says, sure, bring it out till I see it. And it only took him a few months, and next thing I get the fiddle back.
Just
better,
a couple of months.
better than
He's
ever.
sitting at home going, what? Just a few months? I bust me back on that thing.
But listen, the whole thing is, I didn't expect him to be able to do anything because it was in such tiny little pieces.
But isn't it amazing? And I think this sounds so silly to say, but you know, when you watch programs like The Repair Shop, right?
Yeah.
It gives us an idea of how talented some people can be, that he can see what's there and go, no, I can actually return this to, you know.
Yes, and you wouldn't think that was...
What we can do is amazing.
You wouldn't think that was in bits.
Not at all. And it's not lost any of its sort of character.
No. Yeah. It's actually improved it, whatever he did. He's amazing.
So when people say out loud 40 years of Alton.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to believe,
Yeah.
Kieran. Honest to God.
Because we're here and you both look fantastic and young and healthy. Do you know
Specsavers.
No, but you know,
Yes.
it's hard to believe that's 40 years of experience, memories, crowds,
We had
rows,
actually
makeups.
It was you reminded me. We didn't even think about it on New Year's Eve or anything, and I think
it was the June Bank Holiday weekend in 1985, and we were heading to Listowel, and everybody else was heading to Bruce Springsteen, and he was playing Slane that year.
the same weekend.
The same weekend, and
So
that was our first actual gig.
And I think when you mark an anniversary like this, it's as much for the fans and the supporters that have been there from the beginning or you've picked up along the way, as much as it is actually for the collective.
Yes,
you know, it's lovely for you to recognise it, but it marks it for your fans.
Yeah, well, it's good for us to mark it really, because and then it gives us, gosh, we've made it so far, and we're happy, and we're stronger than ever, and we're working very hard. You know, we don't play a lot in the country, but we play a lot of music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great actually that this weekend we're going back to the source, which is Donegal. We're going to Early's Bar tomorrow night in Arnmore Island, to Jerry Early's Bar.
And just to answer that question, by the way, yes, indeed, there is a late ferry being provided, because that's the first thing I thought, I want to do that, but how do I get home? So they've thought of everything. There is a late ferry.
Yes, and we just thought, I got so many songs from Roshan and Nuran, like there's a huge festival now in her name, but a lot of our albums were based on her songs. And then when I was in there at the first festival, Johnny Duffy, the great Dr. Johnny Duffy, said, "You're welcome home," he said, because apparently all the Moonies, when they came to Donegal, we were boat builders, and we actually lived on Arnmore Island. So I was going back to source there. And
yeah, because I was going to ask, and you've kind of answered the question. When, you know, like the potential for shows that you could do are endless, right? Yeah. But you know, Early's Bar, beautiful venue. It's an intimate venue too, though. You know.
Oh yeah, it's very intimate, but that was what we wanted. We did.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
You can go big, and we will be doing, like, we're doing the Mandela Hall and the Guildhall later on.
What are these more for you?
This is for us,
want to do? Yeah.
And for us with the people, and you know, our music is the music of the people. Like traditional music is a folk music; it's music of the people, and you know, we love just you know, communicating and seeing the people, and maybe having them on stage with us as well.
And there's also, on Sunday the 13th, it's going to be a busy weekend, the Concert of the Greats at the Marquee in Brookles as well.
Oh, yes, Eamon Gillespie's idea, and fantastic. We're really looking forward to that, going to Brookles and playing in a huge marquee, and hopefully the sun will be shining. And
this is the one thing we're guaranteed now, weather.
Yes.
You know, we know that. Sunday, there's not much rain provided.
Yes.
Maybe the odd clap of thunder, but you can just tie that in.
Or we just play, and we'll just watch the match, and as we win,
fingers crossed,
we'll all win.
Kieran, when you reflect on your 40 years, I'm not going to ask what the highlight or the low light is, because sometimes I think, certainly with me, I can't do that with honesty, because things blend into sort of one thing in a nice way, if you know what I mean. But if you reflect on 40 years in a paragraph,
Yeah, well, I suppose you sort of think of some of the bigger, really big things that you did. Like we did the Hollywood Bowl on 2 occasions, I think it was.
amazing.
And like that was incredible to be doing something like that.
The Greek Theatre.
The Greek Theatre.
LA.
And also sharing the stage with other world-renowned musicians as well,
Yeah.
too.
Well,
trying to remember these things.
yeah, well, it's Dolly.
Dolly
Parton, of course.
But that was the point I was trying to make. You're just like me, Kieran. I sort of can reflect in the round, and maybe 1 or 2 things will pop out, but I just know if it was amazing or,
Yeah.
Do you ever wish you could sort of spring back in time and absorb things in a different way, Mairead? Do you know what I mean? Take a bit more time to soak it in, or do you soak in every experience as it comes?
Well, you have to be honest to where you are at the moment, and I think we did our best at that time.
Yeah.
We love to bring Donegal tunes, and one of my special moments was we were somewhere in Palm Springs or somewhere in California, and we walked on stage and we started playing a few Donegal tunes, and someone shouted from the audience, "Long live Con Cassidy!" And I just looked down. Here we were in the middle of a desert, and somebody knew about Con Cassidy of Teelan, and it just gave me a great joy that we were bringing these great musicians that gave us their music so generously.
Yeah.
They were with us on
Yeah.
that stage, and I remember telling Con was still alive, God rest him, and I told him about it. Who would know me over there, Mairead? It was great. It was fantastic, to be able to bring the likes of my father even, or the Campbells, or the great John Doherty, and they're with you all the time. And all of these people, if they like our music, they'll delve deeper and they'll come here. And we notice a lot of younger musicians are, finding Altan, and then they say, well, where are they from and what's this music about? And next thing they arrive and they're learning, or they're enjoying the place, or they're learning Irish, or learning fiddles.
But we have that in this county. I don't want to be over parochial and think we're better than everyone else, though I believe we are.
But we are.
Yeah, okay, good. But there is something about our great musicians, especially those that have enjoyed great international success, always so proud of Donegal, and I don't think it happens as much in other counties. I'm thinking of the likes of the Henry sisters and bringing people back here, or going out. Daniel O'Donnell in a different space, right? But
great man.
It's just Donegal. It's everything's Donegal, and you guys, it's been part of you. It was never foregone for a different type of success. It's always been part of who you are. It's authentic.
Yes, well, it is authentic, and there's no use in kind of going off with a big head, because what we're doing is playing music, and we love playing music, and we're so lucky to do so well. But I was talking to somebody in America the other day, and I said, if I took a radius of 10 miles around my house, and talk about Anya and Maya Brennan and Clannad and Scarabray
really,
and Bothyban and Daniel O'Donnell and Margot, you're talking 100,000 albums.
It is.
Million albums.
Do you know
how many million albums
in
have
terms
they
of
been?
sales?
Yes.
Oh, millions.
Millions of albums.
Daniel's banging out millions on his own.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying, And then there's loads of young musicians.
Yeah.
Then the Emma Nierishkas and the Owen Ferries. And
we've got so many.
Amazing.
Sorry I know you're mad to get playing, Kieran.
No, I'm not.
We've got so many. We've got so many amazing artists that just need the break. They're there, the talent's there, the songwriting's there, the music's there.
I was
it's
listening
amazing.
to George Houston the other day.
He's
he's
I think
incredible.
he's starting to break through.
Oh, he's incredible.
But we've got others that are just the package is there. We just need them to
everything. Every genre.
But the one thing that seems to be the common denominator, and maybe young musicians can look on, and I'm not saying it's not there at all, though, is humble, remembering where you're from, staying true to yourself. That seems to be a key part of getting out of Donegal and being successful, I think.
Yeah, I think people are very grounded here, and if you're not grounded, the corners will be soon taken off you.
But there is a lot of luck involved in it too.
Oh, yeah.
You can be very talented and great musician, and if you don't get that bit of luck to get there, that's it.
We were very lucky.
We were lucky.
Yeah. But you were there, as I say, the package ready to go as well too. So you have to be ready for it.
Young and enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Now we're old and enthusiastic.
That's what I was going to say, because Kieran, the enthusiasm isn't gone, because you're creating all of the time, looking for new things.
Yeah.
Not even just musically, but in the gigs that you do or where you go.
Yeah. We just.
Yeah. We enjoy it, and when it stops being enjoyable, that's when to stop. But the thing with music is music kind of is like life itself. Like it's like water and air. You need it, and you need to be able to play it every day. And like I play away to my cat at home. The cat hears everything.
We've seen your cat
I know,
on many occasions. I mean, when you're on Zoom, I'm normally expecting it to hop up over your shoulder right now, but I was waiting for the cat to get a mention.
I know.
All right, brilliant stuff. Shall we hear a little music? I mean, the capacity at Early's Bar is as big and beautiful as it is. It's not infinite,
not
right?
big.
So if you want to go, you have to contact the ferry provider yourselves to book your ticket to make sure you get home. But I'm telling you one thing, in terms of an experience, to ferry over to beautiful Ironmore Island, make your way up the hill to Early's Bar, sitting there, listen to proper world-class music, and then your treat is a tumble down the lane and out the ferry again. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. And then Brooklyn again, another offering. It has slightly more capacity, but you need to get on that as well. That's Sunday night, a concert of the greats at the Marquee in Brooklyn. Right, okay, so what are we going to listen to, Marie?
We're just going to play a few reels that I suppose one of the first reels that we recorded many years ago with my husband Frankie Kennedy. Kieran played with us, so we haven't played these in ages, but I hope you enjoyed them.
What a treat, whenever you're ready. What?
No.
You come all the way over to Letterkenny for that? More! Oh, no, I'm only messing. What a lovely, lovely piece of music. And what an opportunity to see Alton. As I mentioned, Early's Bar, Ironmore, on Friday, the 11th of July. Is that today? No, that's tomorrow. Sorry, I've got my days a little bit mixed up. There is a late ferry back as well, so no excuses. What a beautiful setting in beautiful weather. And then on Sunday night, equally wonderful venue. It's a marquee in beautiful Brooklyn, the Concerts of Greats. Great to see something being organised for Brooklyn, actually.
Yes,
it's a beautiful part of the world.
Can I also mention Tranona, that my daughter and I are going to be playing next Tuesday in the Dunlewy Centre.
Fantastic.
So my Nia and myself and Manus Lunny are going to play there next Tuesday night. So I forgot about that.
Kieran Curran on Bouzouki, thanks for the chats. Thanks for the brilliant music. It's been lovely having you in. And Mairead Niweenie, we always love having you on the show. Thank you so very, very much. We'll be back with more after the break.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Linen Festival Ramelton. Join us Monday, July 14th for the festival's grand finale, featuring ABBA Sensations Live, followed by a spectacular fireworks display. For the latest festival updates, follow Linen Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
Get top label clothing and footwear for less in the big summer sale now on at Watson Menswear. A great range of shirts, polos and t-shirts at half price. Get 2 denims for €70. Footwear with up to 50% off, and there's 20% off brands like Penguin, Superdry, Tommy Bow and Sixth Sense. All in the big summer sale now on at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny, and at watsonmenswear.com.
Charge into summer with TUI. Secure your holiday today with savings for families and adults flying from Dublin, Cork and Shannon. Holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy.
Milford Tiles, Milford Retail Park. Tiles, bathware and wood flooring. The best quality and value in the Northwest. Fully stocked and ready to go. Fitters and delivery available. 10% off for mica affected customers. Don't forget to ask about our 5-day bathroom fit out. Call Milford Tiles on 083 091 0707.
Is your little one starting big school this September? At Dunnes Stores, we've got you covered for those memorable milestones. From waving goodbye at the gate to snapping that first proud photo in their new uniform. Feel confident as they take their next big step with quality schoolwear. Pick up a 3-pack of Playproof polos from €5. Pair these with Easy Care joggers also from €5, plus a comfy sweatshirt from €3.75. Shop back to school in-store and online now. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply.
Who the hell are you? Get ready, Donegal. Highland Radio is throwing a party like no other. It's the Big Highland Summer Bingo Party. Hosted with me, Keith Fletcher.
And me, Lee Gooch, Hawaiian shirts, hulas, how the hula are ya? Big laughs and even bigger cash prizes. With €1,000 off for grabs, expect big party tunes, madness and just a little bit of mayhem.
So, Saturday the 2nd of August at Jackson's Hotel, Ballabafay.
You better get your tickets quick on eventbrite.com.
Hey, what? Is it over 18s?
You better mention it's over 18.
Okay. And it's over 18s.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
It's 11:29 and Paul McLaughlin from Ballochder Garden Centre is in with us. Paul, where else would you be? Brief chat there about holidays before before I put the mics up. But sure, where else would you be in weather like this except beautiful County Donegal, the northwest of Ireland?
Absolutely. Hard to beat now, so it is. My job, I travel around a lot, so you get to see every aspect of it,
Yes.
so it really is your spoil.
What's your favourite part? I think I've asked you this before. Did you say
Yes.
Glenveigh?
I love Glenveigh. I like down the west too, like even down the area around Maharorty on around bloody Foreland there is lovely. So
Stunning stuff. Wherever you go, it's just beautiful, isn't it?
There's something different now, all corners.
Yeah, be it just the landscape or the architecture for that matter. Right, so last time you were in, I mean, I didn't mind the weather. There was a spell of bad wet weather, but it was all right. What did it mean for our gardens? I've learnt now that our flowers to be their best need sunlight, and we haven't had a ton of that.
No, funny. I'd say the flowers are a wee bit behind because it just hasn't been that much sunshine, and there's been a lot of breezes there. It's been quite sore on them, especially hanging baskets that are drying out a lot, if you know what I mean. But other plants are getting maybe too much water, so at least they're well hydrated now. So if the good weather does come, they're in a prime spot to jump. If you know what I mean.
And really a lot of our conversations since this new season started is about getting, if you're lucky enough to have, your hedges, your lawns and everything, they should be looking their best now, really, shouldn't they?
Yes.
That's what we've been building up to. That's when you talk about raking leaves and stuff like that there. It's to ensure they look as good as possible now for the good weather.
Exactly. All your sort of winter and spring preparation is for now. So hopefully if we get the good weather, actually you'll have a real lovely garden to sit out and enjoy.
Yeah,
pretty much, because that's what it's all about, is actually sitting out and enjoying it.
Blocking the wind, that's critical.
Yes. Aye.
The wind can just clean you even on the hottest of days.
Pretty much, I can make it fairly unpleasant. But no, in fairness, it's not been too bad recently, so it has.
Yeah.
So just you have to learn to embrace it, I suppose.
We're in the dog days. What's this about?
Yes, the dog days are...
I've heard the song "The Dog Days of Summer." I didn't realise it was actually.
I know, it's a thing, all right. Dog days is the period sort of from early July to early August. Sirius, which is the dog star, rises and sets with the sun, and sort of ancient peoples believed that really intensified the heat of the sun. Pretty much, like now at the minute it's very warm out, so whether there's anything to do with the stars, that I don't know. But they always believed that the period of sort of May, June, where plants were really springing forward and everything was just bursting with life. And now it sort of takes a break. Almost the sort of the development sort of slows a wee bit. So people associate that with the stars' appearance and thought that it was just too hot for plants to thrive, pretty much. So with that, they always avoided planting seeds and stuff now because they reckon the germination rates wouldn't be in this period.
And we know
wouldn't be as
probably
good.
wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they just looked at facts and then aligned a theory.
It's supposed to just use
Who's to say?
they use nature to explain what was going on in their daily lives, if you know what I mean.
All right, potato blight. A lot of people are sort of digging now or have them out
Yes,
or will be shortly.
yeah.
So is blight still as big an issue?
Blight, sort of for your main crop potatoes, still be in the ground, so blight can be an issue.
Okay.
All right, so it can. So it's just that sort of warm, muggy weather's always worth watching out for.
Damp.
Damp.
People know humid, muggy, kind of the air feels a bit wet.
Exactly, aye. So that's just prime for blight spreading.
And should people, it's fungus attack effectively.
Yes, exactly.
Do people treat the spuds ongoing, or do you start treating them once you get the blight warning, or what's the story?
No, generally, people sort of professional farmers would be treating sort of from the start of June on.
Yeah,
anyway.
of course,
They'll have a sort of
I do
spraying regime.
sometimes forget that it is a professional industry.
Yeah, but in terms of people in the garden, a lot of people would probably, if they want to reduce the amount they're spraying, they would sort of wait for the first signs of it, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So they would, but it's a good idea to keep an eye and keep a good regime going on.
Yeah, your tomatoes, if you've grown them, they're getting hungry now.
They are right. Funny, my tomatoes would actually be further behind where I would hope they would be.
Okay,
but it's just I think
in terms of size, color.
Just in terms of the size of the plants and stuff, you know,
Yeah.
and they're just sort of lacking vitality, if you know what I mean. But
you're growing them in a tunnel, aren't you?
Yeah.
So what would you put that down to? Because would they be as as vulnerable to the lack of sunlight, even though they're in a tunnel?
Pretty much, I was thinking actually that it's the lack of sunlight is the problem.
Right. Okay.
If you know what I mean. But probably a bit of feeding now. Hopefully, they will jump on.
Yeah. Okay. Right now, water.
Mm-hmm.
Water is an issue. As Ishka Aaron were out on about it yesterday. Milford. I can't see that hosepipe ban being lifted anytime soon.
No,
to be
I can't.
honest with you,
Definitely not, because I see it only getting worse rather than better.
Yeah,
If you know
and the
what I mean.
bottom line is there's been a lot of development in Milford, and there isn't the water for it.
Yes.
And we're not going to get the rain to fill up that lake. So I don't know what they're going to do there, but I can't see that hosepipe ban lifting anytime soon. And there are a number of other areas. I'm thinking Buncrana, Downings, Letterkenny, and elsewhere. I'll get the email up whereby people are being asked to preserve water. So I think we're going to see more of this, not less.
Yes, I'd say if the weather, like we're supposed to be looking into a heat wave for the next couple of weeks, so if that does transpire, obviously there's going to be more pressure in the water system. So there are a few sort of basic water saving steps you can take yourself to actually help reduce your use, which would include sort of saving whatever water is going at the minute, like if you have water butts associated with your downpipes or whatever.
And do you like big butts?
Oh, well, like all sizes, really.
Okay.
All right. But no, so generally stuff like that there.
I'm just wondering if the water lies in it too long.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is there a...
Is there any what I got? No, absolutely not. Actually, they reckon the water lying there actually would sort of improve it almost. No,
Okay.
absolutely not. But no, the thing about it is, they reckon a lot of people would reckon sort of salvage water would be better for plants than sort of tap water would be.
Yeah, of
anyway.
course, because it's not been treated.
Yes, exactly.
So Iska Aaron is appealing for customers in Donegal to be mindful of the water use. So there are several areas across the county now, including Buncrana, Carragart Downings. Now, say for instance, the likes of Carragart Downings, the tourists are only arriving now, so
That's exactly, there'll be extra pressure
that's
there.
going to be a problem, or less pressure. Milford, of course, as we know, the Twin Towns, Ballybofey, Stranola and Letterkenny, they're already experiencing increased demand. So I just would wonder if we're going to start seeing hosepipe bans in those areas in the not too distant future.
I would say quite possibly, you know.
Yeah,
Because it doesn't take much to tip the system over the edge, really.
Right, okay. Let me see. I think we have to get to some questions now. Greg, found a wasp nest under eaves of a rented house. How do we remove them?
How do you remove them? Suppose if you're in any doubt or if there's any danger posed by it, I would say seek professional help. Maybe there are extermination companies there. If you want to tackle it yourself, there are a number of products you can buy, sort of like basically hardware shops, farm related shops there, and a lot of them you can sort of spray the chemical from at least 10 feet, so you can actually be a safe distance back from the wasps.
Because they will be angry.
Absolutely. No, generally I would go out and give it a spray if that's what you're thinking of doing. Sort of retreat for a while, let it do its work, and then maybe come out and do it again. But
And it's different, like maybe honeybees or whatever. There's not really. I mean, these are
No, wasps definitely would pose a danger if there are people near hand. So, like, where obviously you would try and preserve the bees, I would be, if it posed any danger, I'd be getting rid of the wasps.
Can you ask about this, please? I have a section of garden that's all wee stones, and I've had a wild bad weed growth through all the stones. What's the best way to deal with it? I don't want to throw weed killers about willy-nilly, as the stones are next to the main garden grass. Now, this is a pain.
Yes.
And I thought I was being clever. I put a bit of stones out the back of the house, and I put a tarpaulin, not a tarpaulin, but the
weed fabric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They grow anyway. They just grow. I mean, they might be slightly easier to lift.
Yes.
But, and weed killer's crap.
A lot of weed killers
By the time you get the results you want from weed killer, the new weeds are coming through.
Yeah.
You know, you just have brown weeds for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, pretty much. So as case to get there, if the mat's there, but like you say, the weeds are a wee bit easier to lift.
I don't think they have a mat. I have a mat and it's still a pain.
Yes.
I've given up really, actually.
Right, pretty much. You can make the organic weed killer out of vinegar, which has fairly instant results, but it doesn't kill off the roots, so you have to do it quite often, if you know what I mean. But if you look up on the internet, you get a recipe for making your own sort of class as organic weed killer.
All right, okay. Is it okay to prune shrubs at this time of year?
Prune shrubs this time of year, as a rule, generally yes. Normally, as a rule of thumb, if you're pruning shrubs after the finished flowering, basically, because if you cut them earlier, you're in danger of cutting the flowers off them or any potential flowers off them. So in a case like that there, I would say you're not going to do any harm by pruning them at this time of year, but just careful if they haven't flowered yet, you'll possibly lose the flowers for this year.
Rose bushes planted beside a Lelandi hedge, not doing well, gets watered frequently. Any advice?
Yes, funny, apart from mentioning the water would have been my first concern there in terms of the big Lelandis are almost bullying the roses in terms of if they're established, they're going to be taking all the water, and if the person's watering them are obviously replacing that water, but I would say the Lelandis are also stealing the nutrients out of the soil, so it could be a case of maybe giving a wee extra feed.
Okay.
Come along.
Listen, Paul, it's been lovely having you in as usual.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for all the advice. Any questions we didn't get to, we'll carry them over. It's not going to be too long before we see you again. But for this Thursday, Paul, have a great day.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, take care.
The 9 till Noon Show, proudly sponsored by the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton, now in full swing. This weekend, catch headline acts: Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumbling Paddies and ABBA Sensations. For tickets, search Lennon Festival on Eventbrite.
TFI Local Link operates evening and weekend services throughout rural Ireland to help you stay connected 7 days a week. We know life doesn't just happen 9 to 5, so if you're commuting, shopping, visiting family, or going out in the evenings or on the weekends, let TFI Local Link take you there. Visit transportforireland.ie.
Heading to Croke Park this weekend? Make a pit stop at Donegal-owned McCafferty's at the Barge, Dublin. Enjoy top-notch food, cold drinks and all the live GAA. Just a short hop away. McCafferty's Dublin is your match day destination.
It's been 10 years of the best, you'll never guess what, texts. 10 years of
I wish you were here.
Video calls. 10 years of businesses shouting,
We got our first sale.
And for 10 years in a row now, Vodafone have won Ireland's best mobile network, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Vodafone. Together, we can. Certified by Umlaut. See Vodafone.ie for terms.
This summer, whether you're chasing fashion, food or fun, Letterkenny has it all. From big high street names to great local ones. From cosy cafes to buzzing bars, Letterkenny is the place to be. Brought to you by Shop LK in association with Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce.
Donegal. Thinking of cutting your energy bills or upgrading your home? DLDC and Mount Lucas are bringing the Retrofit Roadshow to you. Join us in Dunloe July 14th to 18th and Letterkenny July 21st to 25th. Free sessions for homeowners. Learn how to boost your BER, upgrade your insulation and access SEAI grants. 1-day certified training for tradespeople. Future-proof your skills in NZEB retrofitting. Places are limited. Book now at dldc.org or call 074 9127056. DLDC, bringing energy expertise to your doorstep.
Experience. Experience Donegal v Meath this Sunday at Croke Park in the Football Championship semi-final at 4, with the All-Ireland Junior Football Final at 1:30. The GAA Football All-Ireland Senior Championship. Experience the unforgettable. Sponsored by Allianz, AIB and SuperValue. Advanced ticket sales only at GAA.ie or selected Centre and SuperValue stores. GAA, where we all belong.
Now, we've had a series of releases over the last number of days which all point in the same direction. Cancer delays are causing avoidable deaths. It's the stark warning, this time from the Irish Cancer Society, as it highlights new data showing delays in cancer tests and treatment across Ireland, and the Society is calling for increased investment in Budget 2026 in cancer staff, buildings and equipment to ensure target waiting times are met. I'm joined on the programme now by Amy Rosehart, Head of Advocacy with the Irish Cancer Society. And I suppose to Amy Rose, inevitably, as a Donegal woman, you look on and are going to keep a particular eye potentially on Letterkenny University Hospital, at least in a private capacity. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to your listeners. That's correct. This week, the Irish Cancer Society, we issued fresh data that we've obtained, which is looking at wait times for cancer tests and vital cancer treatment all across the country. And what we're seeing is a very, very mixed bag, and certainly a postcode lottery wherein where you live determines the speed with which you can access treatment. As many of your listeners already know, early treatment dramatically reduces your risk of dying from cancer. So that's why the National Cancer Strategy sets target times for cancer tests and treatment in the first place. But what we have seen this week is quite alarming and quite shocking in terms of the variance in compliance rates when it comes to KPIs, which are the target wait times set out for cancer tests and treatments. And also very alarming the manner in which urgent, say, referrals to a symptomatic breast disease clinic aren't being met either. So we're seeing a kind of a failure to meet target times, and also a postcode lottery. What I would like to say just at the outset here, Greg, is this isn't about individual hospitals. The Cancer Society is very clear that this is about systemic investment issues and a failure to adequately invest in the National Cancer Strategy. In the last 8 budgets.
I get you, and I'd love to get to that, but I do understand exactly where you're coming from. But unfortunately, if you take Letterkenny University Hospital, for an example, it was a long battle to get a second breast surgeon and to get that approved. And thankfully, just as the Minister for Health was arriving, it happened the day before that. You know, so in terms of budgets and allocations of consultants to sort of deliver timely treatments, you know, we are here, obviously the society's different, but we here have to focus on it almost by a hospital basis, because it's so directly affecting the people of Donegal.
Yeah, and the data that we've issued this week very much highlights what is happening in Letterkenny General Hospital, and I can step you through that. If we first of all look at wait times for chemotherapy, and to be specific, this data that we obtain relates to the period between March 2024 and February of this year. The target wait time is 15 working days from when your clinician would prescribe chemotherapy, and the target is that 90% of people should be seen with it in that wait time. Only 20% of people during the time period we're looking at within Letterkenny were seen, which means that only 1 in 5 people who've been prescribed chemotherapy are being seen within that recommended 15 working days. It's very concerning. I personally raised it when myself and the CEO of the Cancer Society met with the Health Minister a couple of months ago, but we were reassured, and we have seen it in other data that the journal.e released last weekend, that particular KPI has improved quite dramatically in March and April of this year for Letterkenny. It's gone to 89% in March and 82% in April. However, it does indicate, as it relates to last year, that, you know, the necessity for investment in cancer staff. There's wonderful staff there, but if there isn't a sustainable model, if someone goes on sick leave or if someone is out due to family leave, say you have 4 people on a team, Greg, one person is out ill, you're down to 75% capacity in comparison to, say, somewhere like Beaumont Hospital, where there may be 20 people in a team, one person is out sick, and you're only down 5% capacity.
Yeah,
So
and I think you were
staff capacity is key.
Yeah, and I think what you were going to say, and sorry to interrupt you, we didn't just arrive at this today. It's been an issue of investment in this area over numerous budgets, Amy Rose.
That's correct. And the Irish Cancer Society, we launched our latest pre-budget submission just last week. We're calling on the government again this year to invest a minimum of 20 million funding in the National Cancer Strategy in order that it can be fully implemented and target wait times like those that we're seeing being missed, unfortunately, in Letterkenny can be met. There have been only 3 budgets within the last 8 where the cancer strategy has received funding, including last year. In our view, that's just not enough. You know, Ireland already has the 3rd highest rate of cancer mortality in Western Europe, and the Cancer Society are saying repeatedly that by 2045, the rate of people in this country that are going to get cancer is going to double. So if the government don't step up and invest 20 million in strategies that they themselves have launched, things are going to continue to go backwards. So what we're calling really on politicians all across the country, the health minister, and government and opposition parties, is to make the case and to make decisions in the best interest of patients, because what we're seeing from this data this week across the country, and definitely in Letterkenny, is that patients are paying the price for that lack of investment, and that
the cost
leads to poorer outcomes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. The cost is high. It's poor outcomes or even death in some cases. And, you know, there's even an east-west disparity in terms of cancer survival rates. You know, I know you gave the national figure, but it's even worse in the west. What we need, Amy Rose, I think, is not to be firefighting specific issues in particular hospitals, be it in maternity care or be it in cancer care or whatever, but our focus is on cancer care. We need a proper strategy that's applied and incredibly well funded. You can't keep telling us we're a rich country and then we have to sort of squabble over 20 mil in cancer care. There's a big discrepancy there between what we're being told the country is like versus how we're delivering the most basics of stuff here, Amy Rose.
That's correct. And look, bottom line, as I said already, early diagnosis and early treatment dramatically reduces people's risk of dying from cancer. We are very, very clear in the Irish Cancer Society. We've had backing for this pre-budget submission from everyone from the Irish Society of Radiation Oncology to the Irish Society of Medical Oncology. We have huge clinical backing here. We really, really want to see investment in staffing and in physical infrastructure, things like oncology day wards, things like theatre spaces, and also equipment. You know, as it relates to Letterkenny, there's wonderful staff that work there in that unit, but sufficient staffing is key so that you're avoiding disruption to patients when someone has to go off or out on leave. And I think every strategy is great. This strategy runs until 2026, and then there needs to be a new one. But the strategy is only worth the paper it's written on if it doesn't get adequate funding. We've been making the case to the health minister and everyone down that we need 20 million funding at a minimum in order that these target wait times and other things provided for within the strategy are delivered. So that's really what we're looking for, and also to bring in what we call the multi-annual funding model, that we shouldn't, and patients shouldn't, nor politicians shouldn't have to be making the case for investment year in, year out, because it's not predictable, it's not sustainable. It's very difficult for cancer services to plan and prioritise their resources. There should be a multi-annual funding model introduced. Look, if I can say as well, if there are patients out there, Greg, who are experiencing delays, the Cancer Society would love to hear from you, because it helps our advocacy to be able to bring that to central government. If anybody's interested in sharing, we have a website, cancer.ie/your story. And we also we just revamped our website this week. There's a huge amount of information there for people who may be experiencing a cancer journey, who have recently been diagnosed, who are in recovery. And we have our support line, 1800 200 700, which is free and confidential and staffed by nurses. So anybody out there who is experiencing symptoms, the Irish Cancer Society would urge you to see your GP as soon as you can get an appointment and consult our website and or our support line. You're not alone in that journey.
Okay.
This week we're highlighting delays and a worrying picture of a postcode lottery that's happening around the country, despite the best efforts of staff and clinicians. And we are calling for 20 million investment in this budget in order to help our cancer services and our staff meet the target times that have been set out, because too many people are waiting and cancer patients don't have time to wait, unfortunately.
No, indeed they don't. Amy Rose Hart, thank you very much. Very well spoken. I appreciate your time. Head of Advocacy with the Irish Cancer Society. And Rosina Toner is a cancer campaigner, survivor as well. And I suppose, Rosina, it's good to hear big organisations pushing these issues too, because for people like yourself, often it can feel like a lonely furrow to plough.
It's absolutely brilliant to hear from Amy Rose, and it's great to just have that backing as well, and they can see what's going on in the country, because sometimes you just feel like you're talking and nobody's listening.
Yeah, and
So
you've
to hear
tried
those
to
figures-
talk, haven't you? You've tried to have meetings, and often you can be frustrated in that as well.
It's so frustrating. After the last protest, which was the end of April, so there was a meeting in the hospital, and then we met the health minister, and then Tony Canavan. I emailed him several times. He emailed me back, sent me documents. What are they called? The Donegal HSE infrastructure update. There's nothing in there that says very much that they haven't said. There's an ambulatory care centre. It's a 5-year plan. They're developing a business case. They keep saying the same things over and over again. And they're all saying it now. Bernard Gloucester's saying it. Tony Canavan's saying it. They're all saying it, and nobody's doing anything about it. It's just so frustrating.
It is, and
frustrating.
it's frustrating across the whole health service. Like the maternity story that's out today again, it's more talk, more waffle that, yes, we recognise this, yes, we're going to do that. You could argue that that's what it feels like sometimes when we're talking about Letterkenny University Hospital. When we're talking about home care package, it's the same thing. Like the fundamentals of society where you care for those that need the help, and you use the billions that we have to help those people. Why aren't we doing it, Rosina? I find it so frustrating that why aren't we? And money has to be spent correctly, don't get me wrong, but why aren't we properly running and funding these services so that we're not constantly fighting these wildfires on a case-by-case basis? It's very frustrating and very tiresome for someone like you who's got your own battle that you've been at.
I just think it's like everybody else is saying. Up in Letterkenny, they really don't understand. They actually don't understand how far away it is. And they keep saying, every time they talk about cancer services in Letterkenny, they bring Galway into it. They still are not getting the fact that it's 5-hour drive, for a lot of people. Then, even Pader Tobin, the Aontú representative, said the other day, was it Monday, in the Dáil, even in Galway, they have a 7 to 8 week waiting list. So we are not going to be prioritised down there. It is just so frustrating. And what the Irish Cancer Society now is saying, it is a postcode lottery, and it is depending on where you live, whether you are going to live or die. And they keep talking about, we're going to do the ambulatory care centre. I have no doubt that they are going to do it, but they're not going to do it in, it'll be 20 years. And they need to do it faster than that. They keep talking about developing a business case. I don't see why, there's no business case. We need it. It's not even up for discussion. It's needed. So I don't know what they keep talking about.
Some of that language is like what we tell children when we want to put them off from something.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly what it feels like. Maybe.
Put your shoes on. We're going to be going in an hour or something, because putting the shoes on feels like this journey's began. We're more clever now. We know the language. We know the spin. We know where we've been. We know where we're going. We can't have the wool pulled over our eyes. Every time we ask a question, you can't send the same 1,000 words on an ambulatory centre when we know ourselves that it's not. It's just on the very, very first steps of an incredibly long journey. We know from the medical professionals that the surgical hub is the solution. We know from you that you need more chairs for people to sit in to give them these drugs, and yet we're arguing about moving stuff around within the hospital and it having to go up the chain and down the chain and left and right. Rosina, we know the crack. We can't be fooled.
No, and another thing I've seen on different different social media posts about the HSE. The HSE have said that they have added a few chairs to the day unit to help. They haven't. I was only in there last week. It's still the same. They can't add chairs because there's nowhere to put them. They don't have any room. So they keep saying, "Oh, we've done this, we've done that," to make it look like they're trying to help. They're not. They haven't done nothing. They're just saying it, and it's so frustrating that they're telling lies, basically.
Well, at least
just in the hope that it'll
well,
calm
at least now
everybody down for another while.
The thing is at least we can speak. We can, we've got platforms, be it social media or this show. We can rattle the cage to the point whereby the Taoiseach has to answer questions. You know what I mean? So we're not. I think we should be proud of ourselves that we are making waves, but that has to come with delivery as well, and that means people have to keep on it, and the politicians have to keep on it.
Yeah, even what Padraig said this morning when you were chatting to him, like everybody now is united in this, and we have to keep pushing. We have to keep pushing. Like I will back the doctors 100% with the surgical hub, but like I started this fight for cancer services, and this is where my fight is. So I have to keep on pushing for the ambulatory care centre because that's where we're going to get an oncology hematology day unit.
Yeah, I get you.
So
yeah. No, we need that. I think that's.
Yeah.
I think that is. Everyone's on the same page. We need it. It sounds fantastic, but it's already been committed to. We know that it's very early days, and the problem without the surgical hub, the concern is that we could end up like Enniskillen, and then all of a sudden the business model for the ambulatory centre doesn't make any sense. Rosina, thank you so much, and fair play to you for being such a strong advocate for others. Who don't have the voice. It's incredibly important what you're doing, and I appreciate you sharing your views with us. Take care of yourself.
Hi, thanks a million for calling. Bye.
Bye. We'll see you